Cubs baseball on WGN.
The following is a presentation of WGN Sports.
It's bad enough the Cubs are in a slump. They also happen to be playing one of baseball's hottest teams. KC is 11-4 in their last 15 games. Last night, it was the Royals rookies who caused much of the damage. Larry Sutton 3 for 3. And how about Mendy Lopez? His triple scored the tying run in the second inning. Kevin Tapani has seen Kauffman Stadium before. The Cubs' hopes of breaking this slump are in his hands tonight. Another sultry summer night at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City as the Chicago Cubs and Kansas City Royals get set to do battle in Game 3 of their 3-game interleague series. Hi, everybody. I'm Wayne Larrabee along with Steve Stone. Well, as we mentioned, the Cubs in a tailspin while the Royals are playing much better. And they got some help from some unexpected sources last night.
Usually you worry about King and Palmer when you play Kansas City, but last night they would have none of it. It was Offerman, Sutton, and Lopez. They did the majority of the damage against the Cubs.
The guy who's looking to put the stop to this 6-game losing streak for the Chicago Cubs is the veteran Kevin Tapani. He's been here before.
Well, last time out against Cleveland, Kevin Tapani threw the ball very well, although the Cubs didn't win. However, he's 6-10 lifetime against Kansas City. And as Wayne told you, this ball club playing very good baseball right now. For the first time this year, they won consecutive home games on consecutive days. So you got to watch out for them.
Well, they used to call this Kauffman Stadium. Now they're calling it the Friendly Confines here in Kansas City. We'll see if the Cubs can turn things around behind Kevin Tapani tonight. Stay tuned. Baseball is next.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN.
Fountains in center field, a cool respite on a sultry evening as the Cubs and Royals get set for Game 2 of their interleague series here tonight. And here is the Pepsi lineup for the Cubs. The batting order: Blauser, Alexander, Grace, then Sosa, Miski, Hernandez, Morandini, Ori, and Service. And Jose Hernandez has been red hot in the month of June.
And the defense for Tony Muser and the Kansas City Royals: Conine, Damon, and Sutton. Left to right in the infield: Palmer, Lopez, Offerman, and King, and a battery of Sal Fasano and Jose Rosado. There you look at the numbers of Rosado, and this is his 9th start. He's got a complete game. You see he has excellent control. Now, a couple of starts ago, he took a line drive off his pitching arm off the bat of Manny Ramirez. That made him miss a start. But the young man's got pretty good stuff. He'll have to keep the ball down, as do most of the pitchers on the Kansas City Royals, but this is normally a pretty good park to pitch. However, Wayne, last night we saw that the ball was jumping pretty well.
It really did, and of course Jose Offerman hit a big home run in this ballpark last night. Also, you take a look at Tyler Houston had a home run up into the fountains in right center field, so the ball did jump a little bit here last night in Kansas City. The umpiring crew, the arbiters for tonight's game: Mike Everett behind the plate, then Ted Hendry at first, Larry Young at second, and Drew Koval over at third. Jose Rosado went 7-4 in the first half last season. Steve represented the Royals in the All-Star game, was their only representative, but struggled after the break. He finished 9-12 with a 4.69 earned run average, and his arm went dead in the second half of the season, according to the Kansas City people. They asked him not to pitch Winter League ball this year, and they feel he's come back a little bit stronger, and they're hoping he will last a little longer throughout this season, as hopefully is the case for the Royals from their point of view.
He's 6 feet, 190 pounds, so a well-built young man out of Jersey City, New Jersey. Just 2 complete games in 33 starts last year, and Jeff Blauser leads it off.
.238 hitter with a homer and 16 runs batted in. First pitch of the ball game on the inside corner for strike one call. Blauser with 9 doubles and 2 triples this season. And here's the 0-1 delivery. No balls, 2 strikes.
Only 91 degrees at game time, so it has cooled off from a roasting hot 97 during the course of the day.
And you dress as cool as you can in the summertime around here. Pitch up high, and it's 1 ball 2 strikes.
Only one of these Cub hitters has seen Rosado, and that's Matt Mieske.
1 ball 2 strikes to count on Blauser, who's 1 for 11 on this road trip. A breaking ball, and he pulls it foul. Pushes it foul, I should say, out of play. Jeff King had a home run in the ball game last night.
He's a pretty good fielding first baseman. They've had some problems at third and second.
Again, the 1-2. A little bit high, and the count even at 2-2. Blauser's 1 for 11 on this road trip followed a 7-game hitting streak when it appeared like he was starting to break out of his slump, but he takes a called third strike and is the first out of the ball game.
We've seen a lot of the left-handers go inside on right-hand hitters, and Jeff Blauser giving a little ground. Mike Everett thought it was good enough. That's how they retired Manny Alexander last night, so if he's looking inside, he's going to get it there from Rosado.
Alexander at 238, 3 homers and 12 runs batted in, takes a knee-high fastball for a strike. Manny's been scuffling a bit at the plate, just 3 hits in his last 32 at bats. Down in the count, no balls, 2 strikes. Another big crowd filing in here at Kauffman Stadium. They had just over 39,000 last night.
It's beautiful. Kauffman Stadium, 25 years old, but you'd swear it was new.
And the 0-2 pitch. Just a little bit outside. 1 ball 2 strikes.
It's 330 down each line, and if you pull the ball here, you can take it out in a hurry. 375 to the power alleys and 400 to straightaway center field. And they have shortened the dimensions here. They brought it in 10 feet in the power alleys.
Manny hitting a little bit better against the left-handers. Count even at 2 balls 2 strikes. Here's a look at Kauffman Stadium. The 2-2 delivery, a swing and a miss. He changed speeds on him and pulled the string.
That was a good straight change, and because the Cubs haven't seen Rosado at least the first time through, it's going to be much to his advantage.
Number 17, Mark Grace.
This one kind of floats up there, and Manny looking for anything but that, well out ahead of it. So 2 up, 2 strikeouts.
That brings up Mark Grace. Grace on a 5-game hitting streak, 7 for 19. 5 for 12 on this road trip this week. 2 out, nobody on. We're in the top of the first inning. And Grace lifts a high fly ball. Left center field. Johnny Damon had him played perfectly. Makes the catch. 3 up, 3 down go the Cubs at the top of the first. No score with the Royals coming to the plate. Let's take a look at the Kansas City Royals lineup for manager Tony Muser. Johnny Damon at center, Offerman, Morris, then King, Palmer, Sutton, Conine, Lopez, and Fasano. And Morris has 8 hits in his last 16 at bats.
And look at the Pepsi defense for Jim Riggleman and the Cubs. Mieske, Hernandez, and Sosa left to right. Ori, Blauser, Morandini, and Grace. And a battery of Scott Service and Kevin Tapani. Kevin looking for win number 9 in this his 17th start.
And the first pitch to Damon is lifted in the air to left field. Mieske camping under it. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Batting second.
Brings up Jose Offerman, who last night in the 3rd inning. Well, the tie ball game broke the tie, gave the Royals a lead they would never relinquish with his home run. 4th of the season for Offerman down the right field line. Jose at 282 with those 4 homers, 34 runs batted in, also 13 doubles and a league leading 9 triples. He looks at strike 1 call from Kevin Tapani.
Kind of ironic that Jose Offerman hit the 19th home run of his career last night. Sammy has 19 this month. So you don't expect a whole lot of power from this guy, but he put a charge into one.
Are you saying there's a little disparity there between these 2 ball players?
Just when Jose hits them, they are few and far between.
1-1 pitch, and Offerman down to the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Offerman has become a very good hitter. Lifetime as a Royal, he's close to a 300 hitter since coming over from Los Angeles. And there are the two guys, one having the greatest month ever in the history of the game.
Still 1 ball, 2 strikes. Offerman, when he came up with the Dodgers, Steve, a shortstop, if I recall correctly, and really struggled at that position, and a little steadier at second base, but again, not a great glove in the field by any means.
Well, he was a shortstop with bad hands and slow feet, and that is a bad combination. Now he's moved to second, but he's become a lot better hitter than he was with the Dodgers.
2-2 pitch. On the ground to Grace, and he will win the race unassisted. 2 men down.
Batting third, the designated hitter, number 23, Hal Morris.
Well, that brings up the aforementioned Hal Morris at 345 with a homer and 23 runs batted in. He also has 16 doubles and 2 triples. Morris on this homestand this week, 4 for 11 with 3 runs scored.
And Morris has seen Kevin Tapani in 2 at-bats, and both of them have turned into doubles.
Deep in the box, off the plate. Watch him move up on it as the pitch is delivered, and you get a look at ball 1. Let's see who's cleaning up in baseball, brought to you by Hoover. Ivan Rodriguez of Texas. Bernie Williams on the injured list at the moment. Hal Morris on that list as well. 1 ball, 1 strike now to Morris. And it's 1-2. Bottom of the first inning from Kansas City, no score. Earlier today, Houston in extra innings beat Cleveland.
They were down 4-1 in that game, and Brad Ausmus hit a homer to tie it up.
And the 1-2 pitch is lined to left center field, and that drops in for a base hit. Cut off by Mieske. Hal Morris aboard to the first hit of the game.
Well, Kevin Tapani making some progress on Morris. Both of his hits against him had been doubles. This time, although he's 3 for 3 against him, he held him to a single. And he rips this ball into left center field. They shade him over that way, and Matt Mieske able to cut it off. Now, Morris has had some hamstring problems, so you usually don't worry about him trying to steal. He has 1 stolen base this year, and he takes a very short lead.
Royals home run leader Jeff King at the plate takes a pitch up and in for ball 1.
Before the game, Tony Muser was having a very animated talk with Jeff King, no doubt filling him in about Kevin Tapani and what Tapani is probably going to try to do with him.
King with his 16 homers, also a team leading 60 runs batted in.
King also 4 for 7 lifetime against Tapani.
The 1-0 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And there you look at some robust numbers. That was a pretty good slider that he just threw. He kept it low and away from King. And it looks to me like Jeff has gotten very home run conscious. It looks like he's trying to pull most everything.
1 ball, 1 strike. And it's 1-2. It'll be interesting to see, Steve, tonight Kevin Tapani, who's, well, as he says, his out pitch really is the split finger fastball, but is not sure how many he'll be able to throw here tonight. Soreness in that surgically repaired finger from time to time will limit what he's able to do with that pitch.
Well, I think his out pitch here should be a good slider low and away.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Just missed outside, and it's 2-2.
Kevin learned last year that he could win without the split finger. Now he's added it to his repertoire once again, but he can't overuse it because sometimes spreading those fingers apart gets a little painful for him.
2-2 with 2 out. And that gets through Scott Service on to second base, Hal Morris.
So the question will now be, will it be a wild pitch? If it is, it'll be the 4th of the year. And I think that will probably be the ruling. We'll take another look at it. That probably was a split finger. It does get away, and it is indeed a wild pitch.
So Morris in scoring position with 2 men down here on the bottom of the first inning. And the count filled at 3-2 to Jeff King.
They haven't gone to the slider yet away from King. They're going to stay away this time, however.
And here's the pitch. Checked his swing. They appeal to first. And it's ball 4 to Jeff King. So runners at first and second.
The third baseman, number 16, Dean Palmer.
Dean Palmer's another man that can put a charge into it. He's hitting .304 lifetime against Kevin Tapani, and if it seems that a lot of these Royals hitters have hit Kevin well, that's one of the reasons he's 6-10 against them lifetime.
Jim Riggleman, since that 10-game winning streak, it has been a tough road to hoe. 2 out and the pitch to Palmer. Now the outside corner for a called strike. Palmer, an unusual triple last night. Unusual in that he actually got a triple.
Unusual
doesn't do that often.
That he hadn't hit one since the middle of 1996. So the golden wheels of Dean Palmer ran it into 3 bases.
He's down to the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Yes, a veritable speed merchant, isn't he?
Well, Dean usually has all kinds of problems on the breaking ball unless you hang it. And this is a man that can strike out with the best of it.
Dean Palmer 60 strikeouts this season, but take a look at his numbers since June 7th. .349 average. The 0-2 delivery called strike 3 and the inning is over. No runs, a base hit, no errors. The Royals strand 2. At the end of 1, we're scoreless in Kansas City. Royals are going next week, and Tony Muser is taking them not on a plane, Stoney, but on a bus.
That's the old school, Wayne. No reason to take a plane when you can take a bus.
You got it. Sammy Sosa, Matt Mieske, Jose Hernandez, the middle of the order for the Chicago Cubs, to face Jose Rosado. Sammy at .328, 32 homers, 76 knocked in, 19 home runs in the month of June. 1 ball, no strikes.
Rosado has given up 9 home runs in 75 innings. That's fairly respectable. And some Sammy fans want him to hit it there.
Got a target to hit at. And the 1-0 pitch. Staying away, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. Big numbers in the month of June. Sammy on the road trip. 4 for 13 with a couple of homers, both of which came in Detroit. There's a strike called, and it's 2-1.
That was a pretty good pitch because although it was a fastball, he took something off, and Sammy took it.
And the 2-1 delivery. We're even at 2-2.
That time Fasano wanted it away. He set up away, but Rosado got it inside, so he missed his spot, but Sammy couldn't take advantage of it.
Meanwhile, as we told you, the Astros over the Indians in 11. The Yankees beat the Mets for the 2nd day in a row. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Sosa. Called strike 3, and Sammy knew it.
Rosado using a different arm angle. He had come right over the top. This time he dropped down to 3/4. And he threw it right there. There's no debating that one. That was a good strike, and Rosado has fanned 3 of the first men he's faced.
1 out, nobody on for Matt Mieske, the former Milwaukee Brewer, at .307 with a homer and 8 runs batted in. Also has 5 doubles.
And Mieske is the only Cub who's faced Rosado, so let's see if he has an advantage.
He looks at that pitch for strike 1 called. And the 0-1 delivery. A little bit low, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
Dean Palmer started out this year playing exceptional defense. He carried it from spring training through the early part of the season, but lately that shoulder's giving him some problems, and he's made some errant throws.
1-1 delivery. 2 balls and 1 strike. Let's take a look at some other scores. Padres beat the Angels 5-1. Vaughn is 26th home run. He is red hot. And then gets the win. He's 5-1 as the Giants beat the Rangers.
Sterling Hitchcock in that Padre game had a no-hitter through 7 innings, and the Padres, along with the Mets, 2 of the franchises that have never had a no-hitter. 3
balls, 1 strike. Well, the inside corner. It's 3-2. You said the Padres and the Mets are the two franchises that have...
Two of them. I'm not sure how many there are, but those two have never had no-hitters in their existence. And the Padres, you can understand somewhat. The Mets are
that's
a big surprise
exactly.
because they've had such wonderful pitching.
Well, you know, Tom Seaver, no question about that. You would figure he would have had one or two in his career. Called strike 3. Mieske was on his way to first, and I'll tell you what, Rosado has been sneaky here tonight. 3 of his 4 strikeouts, Steve, are called third strikes.
He's using a couple of different arm angles. He's coming straight over the top. That's what that one was. And he's also going 3/4, and they've both been equally as effective. And so the Cubs, not yet quite understanding the strike zone of Mike Everett, are getting rung up at an alarming rate.
Jose Hernandez with 2 outs and nobody on.
Well, Wayne, not only was it Jimmy Qualls who broke up a Seaver no-hitter, it was also Jungle Joe Wallace who broke up a no-hitter with 2 outs in the 9th inning at Wrigley Field against Tom Seaver.
1-0 delivery, and there's a strike at the knees. Jose Hernandez, over his last 22 games, a .333 hitter with 8 doubles, 2 triples, 6 homers. Took something off that pitch and just missed a little bit outside. It's 2-1. Kerry Wood in the Cubs dugout. He's used to this kind of warm weather, having grown up in Texas.
Wondering if this might be the year he sees the All-Star game up close and personal.
3 balls and 1 strike to count.
I would think if Jose gets a fastball in the zone here, he's going to hit it hard somewhere. The Cubs haven't been able to do much with Rosado. Let's see if Jose gets a good swing.
On the outside corner, Hernandez let it go for strike 2, and it's 3 balls and 2 strikes.
If that plate continues to be as big as it is right now, there's going to be a lot of strikeouts because it's Eric Gregg proportions at this point.
Here's the payoff. Called strike 3. Rosado strikes out the side in the middle of the 2nd. No score. Sutton leads things off for the Kansas City Royals here in the bottom of the 2nd inning. And he hits it on the ground to the second baseman. Up with it, Morandini in time to graze. Well, Rosado has struck out 5 Cubs in the first 2 frames, 4 of them on called third strikes.
This appears to be it's very hot and I want to go home strike zone. Now that was a very good one to Sammy Sosa. There's no complaints about that. This one to Mieske is low and inside. He gets rung up. This one is off the plate outside, and Jose goes down on strikes, and all 3 called third.
Jeff Conine, the hitter, down to the count, no balls and 1 strike.
And if I'm a hitter tonight, I'm not taking too much. I think I'm up there swinging.
The 0-1 delivery. 1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah, I would say if you're a hitter up there, you can't take anything in the same area code. Let's put it that way. Here's the 1-1. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Conine has 2 homers in his last 4 games. He's hit safely in 9 of his last 10, batting .306 over that period of time. Unsure there, and it looked again like a pitch off the plate, and Conine gets rung up. Second strikeout for Tapani.
The shortstop, number 32, Mandy.
We'll take a look at another called third. A good 4 inches off the plate, but at least Mike Everett has been consistent from both sides, so he obviously wants to move this along. And so the hitters better get a little closer to the plate.
Here's Mendy Lopez. Lopez 4 for 10 in his tour of duty with the Royals. He takes strike 1 called. A 2-out RBI triple in the 2nd inning last night for Lopez. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, you mentioned consistent. I think that's all an athlete wants out of an arbiter of any kind. Just be consistent.
And every pitcher wants a big plate, a consistently big plate.
Yes. Swing and a miss by Sutton, who appeared to be fooled on that pitch, and it's 1-2. The Royals at 34-44 are back to within 10 games below 500 for the first time since May 17th. Just off the plate. Boy, that's been a strike before here tonight. Maybe a little bit high also. It's 2-2. Is the American League strike zone, from what you've been able to tell, Stoney, a little bit lower than the National League zone, or is it the other way around?
No, it's not lower at all. It's just really hard to tell. Every umpire has a different zone.
Line drive, diving step made by Mickey Morandini. Fine play to end the bottom of the second inning. 3 up, 3 down, nothing across. Going to the third, we're scoreless. You see that guy way out there? He's way out beyond the right center field wall, way out beyond the fountains. That's the guy who lights the fireworks when the Royals hit home runs. Now, it doesn't happen as often as Tony Muser would like it to, but that guy out there has got to stay awake. He's got to stay sharp, Steve.
The third from the bottom in the American League in number of home runs hit, but last night they flexed their muscles.
And he shot off some fireworks from out there. I always wondered where they did those things. I always thought they did them right behind the scoreboard, you know. And
you were laboring under a misconception.
For years. But that's not the only one I'm laboring under. Strike one to Mickey Morandini.
Well, let's see if Mickey Morandini can break the spell of Jose Rosado.
5 strikeouts by Rosado through the first 2 innings. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the thing about it is that 4 of those were called third strikes. Just swing, takes it inside, and did he ring him up? Yep. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That fastball moved in very sharply on Mickey Morandini.
Maddox struck out 11 so far in that ball game. Braves leading the Blue Jays 2-0. Chopped on the ground, foul on the first base side. 91 degrees at game time tonight. And it's not a dry 91.
And it's easy to pitch in this weather. Most pitchers really love to pitch in this kind of weather. Tony Muser looks on.
Here's the 1-2. Check the swing. Oh, that just missed.
Well, that was strike 3. And as wide as the plate has been, somehow Mickey Morandini gets a break here. Came over the plate. A strike where he caught it was outside.
A chopper down the third base line. Rosado will have to hurry. Not in time. Infield base hit. Mickey Morandini.
So after getting a break on the call, Morandini breaks up the no-hitter. And he's aboard to lead off the third. A swinging bunt. You couldn't have rolled it out there any better. No chance at all for Rosado, who's very athletic, makes a good play. And now let's see if Jim Riggleman, figuring that this might be a close game, decides to use the hit and run with Kevin Orie. Trying to do anything to shake him out of his season-long major league problems.
Orie hit well down in Iowa for a few weeks, but 0 for 3 last night in his return to the majors. And he looks at a pitch outside for ball 1.
One of the things that Kevin Orie did do was hit left-handers pretty well when he was here. Let's see if he gets some good swings against a guy who's got pretty good stuff tonight.
Jose Rosado, just 23 years old, and the pitch is fouled back. 1 ball, 1 strike. Steve mentioned he was born in Jersey City, New Jersey, but he lives in Puerto Rico.
Montelindo, Puerto Rico, selected in the 12th round of the June 1994 free agent draft.
And as we mentioned, he used to pitch winter ball each offseason, but the Royals this year asked him not to do that. Come back strong and well rested. Apparently he has. 1-1 delivery down low in the dirt. Nice block by the catcher Sal Fasano. And as we saw last night, Steve, one of the better defensive catchers in terms of blocking balls behind the plate.
And Sal is from the Chicago area, and he learned a long time ago, when you hit like he does, you better catch it, call it, throw it, and block it. And he's able to do that. Now let's see if they use some sort of hit and run on the 2-1 count.
Morandini lead at first. Pitch is hit on the ground toward the hole. Glove by the shortstop, Andy Lopez, off the glove of Offerman. All hands are safe.
Well, although it wasn't a great throw, it certainly looked catchable. But I think Mendy's probably going to pick up an error on that one. Let's watch it again. He's in the hole. He's got some time. Offerman misses it.
It'll be interesting to see who they do give that error to.
Well, they called it a fielder's choice. Obviously, he chose to throw to second, but he would have been out had it been a good throw. So I guess they're not going to charge any error, and the Cubs still have runners at first and second and nobody out.
And Scott Service coming to the plate. Service hovering at the 200 mark. 3 homers, 17 runs batted in. Nobody out. Runners at first and second. The first legitimate threat of the ball game. Infield in at the corners. Service is hit into 9 ground ball double plays, and he squares to bunt. Pulls back, and it's ball 1. It's obvious Jim Riggleman needs to, especially in the lower third of the order, Steve, move along these runners any way he can.
Well, last night we saw Tony Muser in a similar situation with everybody moving in the infield allow Mendy Lopez to swing away. Same thing might hold true here because they're charging very hard, and it's going to be tough to make a good enough bunt.
Brewers lead the White Sox in the 6th inning. Thomas's 14th home run. Big Frank. 1 ball, no strikes. Rosado steps off the rubber as he bluffs Morandini back toward the second base bag. Morandini out at second. Kevin Ory is aboard at first. Scott Service with a count of 1 ball, no strikes, squares to bunt again, pulls it back, and the pitch in the dirt. Two balls, no strikes. Nice. Service has scuffled this season, hasn't he, Steve? I'll tell you.
Well, he's right at the Mendoza line, 200. He still remains a very good hit and run man, although you're most likely not going to see it 2-0. You might see it 2-1 if he doesn't get a bunt down here.
And he lays it down the third base side, foul, so it's 2-1. No score. We're in the top of the 3rd inning at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Good to have you with us on this Saturday night for Cubs baseball. Morandini at second. Kevin Ory heading back to first base. Jose Rosado, who has struck out 5 here tonight, had a career best 9 strikeouts against Toronto in Exhibition Stadium on July 20th, 1997.
Let's see if Jim Riggleman foils the defense by using the hit and run here.
And Service does not show bunt this time. 3 balls and 1 strike. I think that's exactly what he was doing. If Service had a pitch to hit, he was going to swing on it. Once again, the infield has been into the corners and moving at short and second. Top of the order, waits on deck, Jeff Blauser.
On a ground ball in the infield, Kevin has got to break up 2 at second.
The 3-1 pitch. Fouled it back out of play.
And if you're Jim Riggleman, knowing you have a struggling ball club, do you take a gamble and run with nobody out in a 3-2 count?
Well, let's see what Riggs tries. Again, the runners lead away from first and second. Nobody out. The payoff to Service. And they'll do it again.
Well, the advantage if you send the runners is that Palmer has got to cover third. That opens up the left side for a ground ball through the left side. And that's what Jim Riggleman was thinking about as he ran with Mickey Morandini and Kevin Ory. Now, if you get the strikeout, you know Morandini's got better speed than Ory. A lot of catchers will go after the trailer as opposed to the lead runner at third.
Again, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Let's see if Riggs starts his runners. Runners going. Swing and a miss. Fasano's throw to third. Not in time. Palmer did not get the tag down on Morandini. It appeared the ball got there in enough time, but Morandini able to slide in safely. Ori over to second.
It looked to me like Fasano might have double clutched, and we'll take another look at it. Here's the runners breaking, and once Service strikes out, he's dead to right. Now we'll watch the play at third. The throw beats him, but Drew Coble says no. Throws there, and you see that Palmer has to come up on the low throw, and that is what allowed Morandini to get in. Normally when the ball beats you, they call you out. Drew Coble said the leg got in before the tag, and there's a huge break for the Cubs.
So 1 out, top of the order, Jeff Blauser. Runners at second and third, and the pitch fouled back for strike 1. Blauser called out on strikes in the first.
The arms in the outfield are just okay. The best arm probably Sutton in right. It's not a great arm. So on a fly ball of any depth, odds are good that Morandini will score.
Breaking pitch up high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cardinals out in front of the Twins. Hunter, his 4th home run of the season, in the 3rd. Morandini, the runner, 90 feet away, and of course Kevin Ori out at second base.
In the middle infield, they're conceding the run. And the only way it won't score is on a hard hit ball, either to Palmer or King. So Jeff Blauser has got to make some contact.
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. 1-2.
Pretty good curveball snapped over the corner.
Well, Rosado is not afraid to mix it up, is he?
Well, he's got first base open here, and he's pitching like that. He's not going right after Blauser. He's going to probably try to get him out of the strike zone. Jeff's been okay, driving in runners from third with less than 2 outs.
And that's the situation right now.
And this is a huge situation for the Cubs, who are working on a 6-game losing streak.
Cubs took a 2-0 lead into the bottom of the 3rd last night, but could not hang on. The 1-2 delivery. Checked his swing, and that is strike 3.
Good curveball over the top. The pitch before was of the sidearm variety. This one right over the top, and Jeff can't check his swing. Mike Everett said you went far enough, and he did just that.
7 strikeouts for Jose Rosado. 2 men down, and it brings up Manny Alexander. So that was a big strikeout. Now the infield is back and playing for 1 to end this inning unscathed as far as Kansas City is concerned. 1 ball, no strikes to Manny Alexander. He struck out swinging in the first.
Well, for the Cubs, this is a big at bat by Manny Alexander. You get a base hit here, you pick up the whole ball club. First and second, nobody out. You got to come away with some runs.
Down the line, off the bag, past King. 2 runs will score. Alexander into second with a 2-run double. And the Cubs lead 2-0.
RBIs 13 and 14. And that was a break. If that doesn't hit the bag, there's a good chance Jeff King is going to make the play. When it hit the bag, it redirected the ball. It went by King, and Manny gets a double right down the line. And you see it actually goes behind King as he overruns it on the redirection. So the Cubs get a pair, and they're on top.
And Mark Grace, the hitter, looks at strike 1. Grace fly to center field in the first inning.
And that fielder's choice, where they did not record an out, has come back to haunt the Kansas City defense.
Indeed it did. No balls, 1 strike. Grace nubs it foul, and it's 0-2. Cubs are trying to snap a 6-game losing streak, a nasty 6-game losing streak. Since their 10-game winning streak in late May and early June, the Cubs are just 4-13. And Kevin Tapani is hoping that he tonight is the stopper. Manny Alexander out at second base. No balls, 2 strikes. Grace right back to the box, and that is the inning. But the Cubs, on a big 2-out double by Manny Alexander, played the first 2 runs of the game. Heading to the bottom of the 3rd inning, it's Chicago 2 and Kansas City nothing. Back in Kansas City, Sal Fasano leads it off here in the bottom of the 3rd inning with the Cubs leading 2-0 in Fasano. It's a ground ball past Blauser into center field for a base hit.
I know the home folks will probably be very happy that Fasano drove that one back up the middle, and he's got a base hit. Jeff Blauser dives over it, and it trickles through the infield.
Second hit of the night for the Royals, and it brings up Johnny Damon representing the top of the order. Damon hit a fly ball to left field his first trip to the plate.
People here in Kansas City think that eventually Damon is going to be a 25 home run man. Hasn't quite lived up to that yet.
But you know, Steve, oftentimes with a hitter, I've been told power comes later to some hitters.
Well, there's no doubt that it does take a while, and this young man has a lot of skills. He's very fast, but hasn't learned how to steal bases consistently yet, and he is strong.
1 ball, no strikes. Pitch down low.
What he's done in this series, Wayne, is consistently get under the ball. But he's been a pretty good hitter.
Damon tied for 3rd in the American League with 8 triples last year. Only Garciaparra and Knobloch had more. Royals also made a trade, Steve, this afternoon.
A surprising one.
Yeah.
Wayne. When you read it, I think our fans will be surprised at the deal.
They obtained outfielder Jermaine Allensworth from Pittsburgh in exchange for minor league pitcher Manuel Bernal. And Allensworth was hitting .309 with the Pirates this season. There's a strike to Damon, and it's 3-1.
Not only that, but the pitcher Pittsburgh got in return was loaned out to Mexico City. So it's kind of a surprising deal, but apparently the young man has got a pretty good arm, and that's why they made the deal. Allensworth will be a good player, but we won't see him. He'll report to the team on Tuesday in St. Louis.
3 balls, 1 strike. Called strike 2. And Tampani's gone the distance with Damon.
And one thing you won't see is Fasano running. If you see that, you might see Tony Muser coming out to tackle him.
Tony might have played a little football back in high school days. He's a good athlete.
Yes, sir.
3-2 pitch. Swung on and a fly ball into right field. Sosa started back, now comes on and makes the catch.
Well, again, that's what Damon has been doing. He's been getting under just about everything.
The second baseman.
You know, when the Cubs started this skid, and it really started on the 9th of June in Minnesota. For the exception of Cleveland, who's a pretty good ball club, as we know, the cumulative under 500 of the teams that have dominated the Cubs are 37 games under 500. So the teams that put the Cubs in this slump were not the better teams in the league, and that's what makes it even more disappointing.
Jose Offerman, the hitter, grounded out to Mark Grace in the first. He squares to bunt, and drags a bunt, fouled on the first base line.
Scott Service is asking Mike Everett if that might have hit him when he was out of the batter's box, and Everett is saying no. Nice thought, though.
Hey, you got to try anything.
They finally have changed the Kevin Ory play to a fielder's choice, which it was, but they're giving the air to Lopez. And justifiably so. Someone has to be charged with an error on that play.
No question. No balls and 1 strike the count on Jose Offerman. You saw Greg Maddux, 13 strikeouts. Did I see that right? Wow. Fouled back against the screen, and it's 0-2.
Big Cub fan looking on in Los Angeles, Jeff Dellin. And Karen Best, the principal of the Truman Elementary School of Springfield, Missouri, at the game. And she has a lot of friends and family back in the Chicagoland area.
No balls and 2 strikes. And it's 1-2. Also, Ray and Paula Lakers send their best to all their friends watching in Tucson, Arizona, and at Paul's hometown of Des Moines, Iowa. Cub fans in attendance here this evening.
Here's the changeup. Let's see if Offerman is well out ahead of it.
Pitch sails high and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I would think if you throw the little sinker away, you play Offerman away, you should have a pretty good shot at getting him out. He does have an open stance, and we saw him turn on one yesterday.
The 2-2 pitch. Fouled back and out of play. That pitch again tailed to the outside portion of the plate. Hey, Cubs fans, it's time to sport your best polyester. The Cubs and Southwest Airlines bring Disco Decade to Wrigley Field on Tuesday, June 30th. Arrive by 6 p.m. Groove to the tunes of Sister Sledge. The best dressed fans can win 2 round-trip airline tickets from Southwest Airlines. For tickets, stop by the Wrigley box office or call 312-831-CUBS. There's a strike, called strike 3 to Offerman on the inside portion of the plate.
Pretty tough to take any pitches tonight, as Jose Offerman just found out. This one pretty good, though. He thought it was high. It tailed back over the plate, and take a look at his reaction to this. Oh, no, not me. He's covering all the bases, Wayne, in case a fight breaks out.
This guy is as neutral as Switzerland. Hal Morris, the hitter, singled his first trip to the plate. Tapani has now struck out 3. He's given up 2 hits in the game. Sal Fasano, a leadoff single here in the bottom of the 3rd. He's still at first.
It's going to take a long triple or home run to score Sal from first.
Hal Morris creeps up on the plate. Bounding ball up the middle. Base hit center field. Sal Morris makes the turn at second, or Sal Fasano, I should say, and he holds on. Hal Morris with the 2-out single, keeping this inning alive.
Well, Morris now a perfect 4 for 4 against Kevin Tapani lifetime, and he just goes right back up the middle with this one. And it trickles out into center field. Most guys would have been to third base, but you don't want to get taken out of the inning with the one man on your team that can consistently hit the ball out of the ballpark, and that's Jeff King. So you really want to be careful with him. If you go in up and off the plate, but pretty much stay away from him and try to force him to pull it on the outside.
There's a strike on the outside corner. King walked in the first.
That was a real good pitch by Kevin Tapani, and a nice place to stay in a situation where a home run can put you down a run.
2 on, 2 out, and the 0-1 pitch low and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. With runners in scoring possession and 2 out, Jeff King has struggled a bit, and that kind of belies the 60 RBI that he has put on the board so far.
Well, I think, Wayne, in a situation like that, that's when most of the pitchers stay away, and if he tries to pull it,
good point.
You have some problems. That's the ball that you usually ground to the left side or fly out weakly to left.
And here in this at bat so far, King has seen Tapani work the outside portion of the plate. Scott Service flashing the signs. The 2-1 delivery, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Let's pause here for station identification.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN, Chicago.
Kauffman Stadium, Kansas City, Missouri. Wayne Larrivee and Steve Stone. Chip Carey will be back on the telecast tomorrow afternoon. 3 balls and 1 strike with 2 out. Swing and a miss for strike 2.
Kevin missed his spot by plenty, and he got away with one. Service wanted it low and away. Kevin got it high and out over the plate, but Jeff King swung through it. And as you see, that's a mistake, and every mistake is not hit out of the ballpark. You just saw one that stayed in Scott Service's glove. Now the advantage, the runners will be going, and there's very little speed on the bases for the Royals, but they'll have a running start.
Full count, 2 out, runners going. Called strike 3 on the outside corner, and the inning is over. Tapani punches out 2, And the Royals strand 2. At the end of 3, it's 2-0 Cubs. Wayne Larrivee, Steve Stone back at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Top of the 4th inning, and the Cubs have Sosa, Mieske, and Hernandez. And a lot of Cub fans on hand down here in KC.
A lot of fans of all sorts. Looks to be another crowd of 39,000 plus. It might be the 2 biggest crowds back-to-back they've had here in quite some time.
Jose Rosado has struck out 7 through the first 3 innings of this game. Sandwich, Illinois. There's a great fair. I believe it's every August in Sandwich, Illinois. You get some of the best food you'll ever have at that little fair out there in Sandwich.
Where else would you have a fair like that with good food?
Sandwich is aptly named. You get a good sandwich out there. Here's Sammy Sosa. Sosa called out on strikes in the 2nd. No balls and 1 strike on Sammy as he slams that one foul. Rosado's 7 strikeouts are his best this season so far.
Well, if the plate stays this big, you're going to see some prodigious strikeout totals on both sides. They're going for a strikeout night of probably 25 combined. I don't know why you'd want to throw the ball over if you get ahead.
This is the kind of night you'd like to see Kerry Wood pitching if you want a prodigious number.
Yes, indeed.
1 ball, 1 strike. Sammy did not go all the way around to that one.
Greg Maddux won again. You think he'll go to the All-Star game?
I don't know. You know that speaking of the All-Star game,
yes,
there is some rhyme to reason as to who Jim Leland will be picking. You know, he has put together a points system he's devised to evaluate pitchers. There's the breaking ball. Sammy stayed with it, but hops it up down the right field line. Coming over for it, Larry Sutton, and he makes the catch. 1 down. For starting pitchers, the categories that Leland is considering, and it's all weighted by points, are wins, ERA, quality starts, dominant performances, and wins against plus 500 teams.
I saw Jim Leland when he was at Wrigley Field. I saw the little sheet that he had, and it makes a lot of sense the way he rates the performance of each and every one of the pitchers. And it still is a very difficult choice regardless of what you use.
Base hit up the middle by Matt Mieske. He's got the 3rd hit of the ball game for the Cubs, a 1-out single to center.
And that was the first real hard hit ball of the night. Mieske has been very consistent this year, and he's been consistently over 300 after the first month of the season. He takes it right back up the middle and winds up aboard.
Brings up Jose Hernandez. Hernandez a strikeout victim in the 2nd.
I guess the question is always, Wayne, when you talk about the pitching staff, how many relievers are you going to go with? And a lot of people say you go with 2. Some people say you go with 3. But if you have 12 pitchers now with a 30-man roster, I would think that you would go with at least 3 short relievers, because you know you're going to be using pitchers in situations where a short reliever might be necessary in the 6th or 7th inning. And you know that Nen is going to make it. You know that Hoffman is going to make it.
1 ball, no strikes, the count on Jose Hernandez, and Rosado not his best move to first. But one name keeps showing up at the top of the statistical list that Jimmy Leland has, and that would be Greg Maddux.
Yeah, I would think that
under any formula he's going to be there.
And Rod Beck will be given consideration, but it's going to be tough for him, I believe.
1-0 delivery, and that's down low. 2 balls, no strikes.
Yes, I would think by any yardstick, just about any given year, Greg Maddux would be at the top of your list if you have a choice.
Runner on first, Matt Mieske. Jose Hernandez at the plate. 2-0 pitch, hit in the hole, left side, through to left field for a base hit. Mieske moves into 2nd, and the Cubs have something going again. Back-to-back singles here in the 4th and put runners at 1st and 2nd.
One of the things we haven't talked about was a terrible break for the New York Mets. Al Leiter, who was 2nd in the league in ERA behind Greg Maddux, has been lost to that team with a patellar tendon problem in his knee, and that injury is 4 to 6 weeks. So not only is he out of the All-Star consideration, but he won't be helping the Mets anytime soon, and that's a team that is definitely in the middle of the wild card chase.
Morandini gets into this one, sends it down the right field line, coming on for it, making a diving grab is Larry Sutton. The tag by Mieske, he moves to third. Great play by Larry Sutton in right field.
Well, you can tell why they like this guy here in Kansas City. He hustles all the time, very rarely out of position, and he's willing to give up his body to make a very solid play. He times it perfectly. And by the way, on the other end, it's a pretty good piece of base running by Matt Mieske, who was at second base. He realized it was going to be very close in right field, and if the ball gets by him, you're going to score anyway. And he tags up and moves to third, where you can score on a wild pitch or pass ball.
2 out for Kevin Orie. Runners at the corners now for the Cubs, who lead 2-0. We're in the top of the 4th inning. Jose Rosado struck out 7 in the first 3 innings of this game. The Cubs appear to be drawing a bead on him, so to speak. Pitch down low from Rosado for ball 1. Billy Williams and Jim Riggleman on the left of your screen. One ball, no strikes, the count on Orie. Check to swing, takes it up high. It's 2-0. Well, the Braves did defeat the Blue Jays 2-0. Maddox 13 strikeouts in that game.
It's got to be one of his highest strikeout totals. Big opportunity for Kevin Orie to put a little more daylight between the Cubs and Kansas City. You know, Wayne, sometimes all-star consideration, you have to take a look at every team having a representative. For instance, when you think about closers, Huguet Urbina from Montreal might be the only player they have that makes it, and he is a closer, and he's having a nice year at 18 saves.
The 2-0 delivery is high and tight, and it's 3 balls and no strikes as Rosado is really beginning to struggle here in the 4th. Well, there's no question about that, Steve. And I think 2 relievers, and as you point out, you could even go 3 relievers, 3 closers if you wanted on that pitching staff. And that wouldn't be out of line, because again, you may be in a situation middle of the ball game where you want a closer type. There's a strike, and Orie taking all the way. But Maddox wins his 11th in 13 decisions.
We've got Andy Ashby with 10 wins, Tom Glavine with 10 wins, Kevin Millwood with 9, Rick Reed with 9, Kevin Brown with 9.
Mieske aboard at third. On at first base, Jose Hernandez. Boston leading Florida 8-2. That game in the bottom of the 7th inning. Orie swings and fouls it off, and the count fills to 3-2.
Now Jose Hernandez has to be careful that Rosado does deliver the ball, even if Jeff King sets up behind him, and that's what Dan Radisson is talking to him about. He said, you're not trying to steal now, so just make sure the ball's on the way home and then take off. And even with King behind him, that doesn't mean he can't sneak in back of him. You know, these first basemen are sneaky in this league.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? A sneaky lot they are. But not our first baseman. He's solid all the way. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. King plays behind the runner. Runner going. Pitch fouled back against the screen. So Orie trying to hang tough against this left-hander.
When you look at what Kerry Wood has going for him, second in the league in strikeouts. Schilling has 167. Kerry has 126. And Kerry, opponents' batting average against Kerry is leading the National League in that department. Opponents only hitting 196 against him. That's real good.
Runners at the corners, 2 out, and Orie asked for time, and the home plate umpire granted it before the delivery by Rosado. Rosado really takes a lot of time when he gets men on base. A payoff due. Kevin Ory once again. And that's ball 4. The bases are loaded. That's the first walk issued by Rosado.
Bruce Keeson coming out. The former Pittsburgh Pirate side-wheeling right-hander, now the pitching coach of the Royals. He wants to have a talk with Rosado. When you don't play for a particularly high-scoring team, there are certain critical moments in the ball game, this being one of them for the Royals. You can overcome 2. Give up a base hit here, it's pretty tough to overcome 4. And with the bases loaded, Scott Service has hit .279, and that's not too bad, is yet to hit a grand slam. And if you pull it down the line here, you can do just that.
Well, maybe Scott Service get a big hit here, and that'll help to get him on track. He has been, as we mentioned, in a season-long slump. Service a strikeout victim in the 3rd. He is 0 for 1 tonight. Bases loaded with Cubs and 2 men down. 1 ball, no strikes.
You're not going to get the benefit of the wide plate unless you stay ahead of the hitters.
Rosado shakes off one side. Service waits patiently. Here's the 1-0 delivery. And he popped it up on the right side. A shallow right field. Sutton coming in for it. Offerman going back. And the second baseman makes the catch. And the Cubs go scoreless in the 4th. They leave the bases full as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning. It's still 2-0 Chicago. Back in beautiful Kansas City, Missouri, Wayne Larrabee, Steve Stone, our Cubs telecast crew on WGN. Great to have you with us wherever you're looking in across the country. Dean Palmer leading it off for the Royals. And the count now even at 1 ball, 1 strike.
Dean Palmer awfully strong, had some big years with Texas. Hit 38 home runs, drove in 107 back in 1996.
The 1-1 delivery. There's a strike on the outside corner, as we've been mentioning. A very generous outside corner by the home plate umpire, Mike Everett.
Dean reacts to that last pitch and the extent of that corner.
1-2 pitch. That's inside, even at 2-2. Take a look at his numbers career-wise. On July 25th of last season, he homered and drove in 4 runs at Comiskey Park, and then was traded right after the game to the Royals for Tom Goodwin. Went fishing for a bad pitch. Swing and a miss. Service picks it up, throws to Grace for the putout.
American League third baseman Dean Palmer on the all-time list of prodigious home run hitters. Harmon Killebrew 49 to lead the parade. Al Rosen had 43 in 1953 for the Indians. Then a couple of big years for Killebrew. And Jim Tomei, then a third baseman, and Dean Palmer hit 38 in 96.
1 out, nobody on for Larry Sutton. Sutton grounded out to second his first trip to the plate. He chops it foul at the plate. Larry Sutton getting the job in right field because he plays sound defense. And take a look at the play he made in the last inning. Outstanding.
21st round draft choice signed by a friend of mine, Tony Lovato, then a Kansas City scout.
Sutton robbed Mickey Morandini of perhaps extra bases and an RBI. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Cubs left the bases full in the top of this 4th inning. So their 2-0 lead feels tenuous at best.
There's Buck O'Neill at the ball game tonight. He ever play for the Kansas City Monarchs?
I believe he did, didn't he? Swing and a miss, and a good pitch dipping down in the zone. Billy Williams presented Buck O'Neill with an autographed picture of Wrigley Field at a ceremony Friday morning here in Kansas City. The 2-2 delivery, and Sutton really fooled on the last 2 pitches from Kevin Tapani. Swings and misses for strike 3.
Well, after a perfect night, 3 for 3 with a sacrifice fly last night, Sutton has been handled very early, and Billy Williams, a Hall of Famer for the Chicago Cubs, appreciating Buck O'Neill, one of the great players to ever play in the Negro Leagues.
Here's Jeff Conine. 6 strikeouts now for Kevin Tapani, and he's ahead of the count on Conine, who was a strikeout victim in the second. Conine in August of last year had a big day at Wrigley Field. 5 runs batted in and 2 homers against the Cubs after entering the game as a defensive replacement in the 7th inning.
That's how you like your defensive replacements to hit.
A little offensive, wasn't he? A little offensive for our taste, that's for sure.
Well, I think now that you're ahead 1-2, you might as well just go out and test that outside corner. Conine was called out on strikes in the second on what looked to be a good 4 or 5 inches off the plate.
2 out, nobody on. The 2-strike pitch, and just a little bit low to even the count at 2-2. Kevin Tapani, born in 1964 in Des Moines, Iowa. Fills the count. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Home of Drake University, which is the institution of higher learning that produced one John Waldron, if I'm not mistaken,
and Arnold Harris.
And Arnold Harris. Base hit to left field by Conine, a 2-out single. That's the 4th hit of the game off Tapani.
Looked like a breaking ball that just hung out over the plate, and Conine roped it into left field. Now one of the villains from yesterday, Mendy Lopez, will come up, and there's the off-speed pitch. Conine waits back and hits it well.
Lopez lined out to Mickey Morandini in the 2nd inning. 0 for 1 tonight. 2-0 Cubs, bottom of the 4th. 1 ball, no strikes.
It was an errant throw by Lopez that's been the difference in this one, as the Cubs lead by 2. Lopez opened the door, and the Cubs were able to take advantage of it.
Conine, the runner at first. 1 ball, no strikes. A little bit high, and it's 2-0.
I don't think that we're going to get a whole lot of help from the White Sox tonight. They're losing 10-3 in the 8th inning to the Brewers. Jeremy Burnitz driving in a few more runs.
Is that Brewer team a little better than you thought they'd be? Sharply hit, backhanded by Ori. Nice play to end the inning. No runs, a base hit, no errors. The Royals leave a man. The end of 4. Cubs 2, Royals nothing. Fellowship of Christian Athletes headquarters just across I-70 from Kauffman Stadium here in Kansas City. Hey, Cub fans, Thursday, July 2nd, Mattel Cubs Hot Wheels Day. First 10,000 children, 13 and under, get a Mattel Cubs Hot Wheels set. Compliments of the Tribune. For tickets, stop by the Wrigley box office or call 312-831-CUBS.
My nephew Sam loves those Hot Wheels. That is a big item among the smaller set.
Well, Sam, your uncle has already pilfered a full set for you.
And some choice seats available for the last homestand before the All-Star break with Arizona and Pittsburgh. And Arizona has one of the real good rookies, a guy that's going to battle with Kerry Wood for Rookie of the Year. And that's their first baseman, Travis Lee, who is an outstanding hitter.
Blauser, the top of the order. He has struck out twice. He's down to the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Takes a pitch up high, and it's 1-2. Our next telecast on WGN will be coming up on a Wednesday. The Arizona Diamondbacks and the Chicago Cubs from Wrigley Field, the leadoff man at 1 p.m. Central Time. I believe Kerry Wood is scheduled for that day, so you'll want to tune in.
You get to see Matt Williams, Jay Bell, Travis Lee, and Devon White of the Diamondbacks.
2-2 pitch, and Blauser takes it up high, and now they've gone the distance. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Jeff trying to avoid the trifecta. He wants to make a little contact.
Or as Dick Vitale would say, the trifecta.
That too.
Here's the pitch. And he got it. Swing and a miss. Third time Blauser struck out here tonight.
Also known as the Golden Sombrero. And this is some high heat. out of the strike zone, but a bullet of a fastball from Rosado. Jeff a little tardy on that one.
8 strikeouts for Rosado, his season high. Manny Alexander has one of the 4 Chicago hits, and Manny able to just barely get out of the way of that one. One ball, no strikes. Alexander, the 2-run double in the 3rd that is the difference in this ball game.
That ball hit right off the bag. Jeff King had a shot at it, but it redirected and went into right field. Let's see if Manny can wait back on this changeup after he had to skip the rope.
He's well off the plate, and he did wait back on it. Lines it into center field in front of Johnny Damon for a base hit.
2 for 3 tonight for Manny Alexander against Jose Rosado, who was tied for 4th in the Rookie of the Year balloting in 1996. That's the year Derek Jeter won it. James Baldwin of the Sox was 2nd. We saw Tony Clark in Detroit. He was 3rd in 96.
So a 1-out single by Alexander, and that brings the big timber to the plate. Mark Grace, Sammy Sosa, the 3 and 4 hitters for the Cubs. Mark 0 for 2. Rosado's been shaking off a lot of signs from Sal Fasano. There's a ball a little bit low.
Mark Grace usually hits the left-handers pretty well. He thinks the key is keeping that right shoulder closed, and he does as good a job as any left-hander in the league.
1 ball, no strikes coming up, and again a light toss to first base by Rosado.
If you want to use a hit and run with Mark Grace up, you stay out of the double play. You keep the inning alive for Sammy, and it's not a bad idea, as Mark will make some contact.
There's a quick toss to first. He almost threw it away. Jeff King able to leap over Manny Alexander to haul that one in.
Well, that was the Terry Mulholland step back and throw without stepping, and a lot of guys do it well. Rosado not among them.
At least not that time. 1 ball, no strikes, and the pitch to Grace. Count even at 1-1.
Manny 4 for 5 this year on a team that has not been overly aggressive. Jeff Pentland, the hitting instructor, and a good one, talking with Jim Riggleman.
The 1-1 delivery works the breaking ball outside. It's 2 balls and 1 strike.
Well, if you see any motion, you will see it here. Cubs this year up to 30 stolen bases already.
2-1. Let's see if they start the runner. And Rosado's going to first. One out, 1 on. 2 balls and 1 strike to count on Mark Grace. 2-0 Cubs. We're at the top of the 5th.
Rosado's trying to throw it away, but Jeff King won't let it.
Well, Mark Grace waiting patiently at the plate, sitting on this 2-1 count.
Sweating patiently.
Here's the pitch. Well hit, but fouled on the right field line. So the count even at 2-2 as Manny heads back to first.
Kevin Tapani using a jacket. Maybe he thinks with a man on, the inning is going to take enough time with Rosado on the mound that he just might stiffen up.
Infield double play depth.
You know, if Rosado ever went head to head with Steve Traxel, we might be at the All-Star break before it ended.
I think you're right. Grace has banged it in 10 double plays. And again, Rosado very concerned about Manny Alexander over there at first base.
Well, he looks a lot like Ricky Henderson.
Yeah. 2-2 the count. Pitch is swung on and looped into left field down the line, but right there as Conine makes the catch.
Boy, they defensed him perfectly. They figured Mark Grace would be inside outing that, and they had Conine almost right on the line. You see where he lines up, and you don't see anybody in the National League playing Mark Grace over there, but nobody knows him much better than Tony Muser, who was his hitting coach.
Well, that again is like you said, Steve, that surprised me that Conine was right there for it. It wasn't much of a play. He didn't have to make much of a play on that one. Now Sammy Sosa, and you can see he has lots of fans here in Kansas City.
Let's see if he's zeroed in on Rosado.
0 for 2 tonight, and he takes strike one call.
If Rosado stays away, Sammy's going to have to look out there, and we saw Moeller stay away the first 2 times up in Detroit, and Sammy looked out there and took it into the upper deck, and that was the record-breaking home run.
Line drive down the right field line, and this one is off the wall. Manny Alexander will score. Sammy Sosa into second, and the Cubs lead it by the score of 3-0.
That is the biggest single difference in Sammy Sosa. The fact that if you show him a pattern, he makes the adjustment, and he knew that Rosado was going to stay away. He just reaches out, drives in his 77th run, and misses by an eyelash of his 33rd home run. This one just barely stays in the park. High off the wall, and it missed by about 6 inches of going out of the park as Alexander scores, and the Cubs have a 3-run lead.
So Sammy aboard at second base with 2 men down for Matt Mieske. Mieske back to the box. Rosado retires him without incident, but the Cubs on Sosa's run-scoring double pick up a run on 2 hits. They strand a man in the middle of the 5th inning. The Cubs have a 3-0 advantage. Rosado hits a high fly ball deep left center field, and it is up and gone. Home run for Sal Fasano, a native Chicagoan who resides in Joliet, Illinois, and it's a 3-1 ball game. Fasano's second home run of the season.
Sal got that one up in the breeze. It's blowing toward left and left center field, and for the second time this year, Fasano takes one out of the ballpark. So the 3-run lead is down to a 2-run lead, and the hit by Sammy Sosa now looms a lot larger.
Top of the order now, Johnny Damon, and he bangs it foul on the third base side for strike one. Well, up until that moment, Sal Fasano hit his second home run of the season. Kevin Tapani had been pretty tough here tonight.
Well, Kevin's still throwing the ball very well. He still has a 2-run lead. The problem is that these Royals are a very hot team, and Kevin's had good control, a wide plate tonight. His career high is 10 strikeouts. If he stays around long enough, he will eclipse that tonight.
All right, so the Cubs lead is down to 2 at 3-1. The bounding ball toward short. Blauser on the run. The throw is in time to get the speedy Damon one away.
And there is Sal Fasano, who's 2 for 2 tonight. And we'll take another look at the home run. This is a slider out over the plate, and Sal Fasano puts a charge into it. He doesn't have a lot of practice working on that home run trot, but he knows just how to do it as he puts the Royals on the board. And there's a look at the Chicagoland native. And he's got a lot of friends back home. Pretty happy about that.
Jose Offerman, the hitter. 1 ball, no strikes. Offerman 0 for 2 tonight. Struck out his last trip. 3-1 Cubs. And it's fouled back. Count even at 1-1.
These Royals have won 11 of their last 15, 8 of their last 10. So things starting to come together for Tony Muser and the Royals. The Cubs hoping to put an end to that and an end to their 6-game skid here tonight. And Kevin Tapani throwing pretty well.
The 1-1 pitch on the outside corner for a called strike. And it's 1-2 now. Again, we can't state this enough. That's a pretty large outside corner. Okay.
Jose Offerman couldn't believe it.
Check swing foul on the third base side.
And a couple of things happen when you have an outside corner that large. Number one, hitters have to expand their strike zone, but number two, it makes them very vulnerable to anything inside because they're looking away and they're striding away, and you can get jammed easily.
Tapani with a pitch in the dirt, looked like the split finger there. Service the block. One out, nobody on. The Royals have one run in here in the fifth, so the run the Cubs were able to get on Sammy Sosa's double in the top of this frame has been matched by the Royals in the bottom. Back to the box. 2 men down. Megan, Matt, Nate, and Carol Yenda from Webster City, Iowa want us to say hi to their dad who couldn't come this weekend. And go Cubs.
In Hal Morris's first year back in 1991, he came within one hit of winning the batting title. The man who did win it is sitting in his dugout on the disabled list, Terry Pendleton.
Morris with 2 hits tonight now has 10 hits in his last 18 at bats.
Hal Morris at San Diego that day had to go 4 for 4 or 4 for 5. He went 3 for 4 and lost out to Terry Pendleton.
Swing and a miss, and it's even at 1-1.
And that was the year that Terry Pendleton went on to win the MVP in his first year with the Braves.
The 1-1 pitch from Tapani, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
This is a big out because Kevin has had all kinds of problems with Morris. He's hit 1,000 against him lifetime, 4 for 4. And if you don't get Morris, you have to face King as the tying run.
And he dumps it into left field. Coming on is Miski, makes the catch, and the inning is over. The home run by Sal Fasano to lead off the bottom of the 5th inning has put Kansas City on the board, but the Cubs have a 3-1 lead. Wayne Larrabee, Steve Stone back at Kauffman Stadium. There's a Lion that went to Oz and got courage. No brains, but courage.
I can't believe he's on the top of the Jumbotron here. But that very much is a courageous lion.
Yes, indeed.
He'll be a dead lion if he takes a bad step.
One misstep. Kevin Tapani has had 1 missed pitch here tonight, and that was Sal Fasano's home run at the bottom of the 5th inning. We're in the top of the 6th. The Cubs leading 3-1. Jose Hernandez, Mickey Morandini, Kevin Ory to face Jose Rosado, and Rosado's first pitch is in there for a strike call to Jose Hernandez, who was 1 for 2 with a single in the 4th.
Now it'll be Jeremy Gonzalez against Pat Rapp in the finale of this series and the finale of interleague play for the Cubs, and it can't end any time too soon as far as the Cubs are concerned. Interleague play has not been too kind to them.
1-1 pitch. Inside, and it's 2-1. Ricky Bonas is warming up in the Kansas City bullpen.
He has resurrected his career in the Kansas City pen.
2 balls, 2 strikes now on Jose Hernandez. 8th inning, Tampa Bay leading Philadelphia 5-1. Bottom of the 9th inning, Boston leading Florida 9-4.
Mo Vaughn hurt a hamstring, and he'll be lost to the team for a while, but it doesn't seem to be hurting them against the Florida Marlins.
The 2-2 delivery, and he chopped it foul. Well, I would imagine the Red Sox Pawtucket Farm Club could do a pretty good job against the Florida Marlins now, don't you think?
Well, the Marlins have had their problems.
Those flailing fish down there in Florida.
They've had some problems this year.
Nobody on, nobody out. 2 balls, 2 strikes. We're in the top of the 6th, and the pitch hit on the ground. Base hit left side. Jose now 2 for 3. 7 hits off Jose Rosado.
The second baseman, Mickey Morandini.
Jose gets a high breaking ball and takes it right through the left side. A carbon copy of his hit in the 4th inning.
Hernandez aboard, and it brings up Mickey Morandini. Morandini singled and scored in the 3rd, lined out to right field, and a diving grab made by Larry Sutton. That coming in the 4th. No balls and 1 strike. Trying to move along the runner.
Well, with Bonas loosening up and Ori, Service, Blauser, and Alexander, 4 right-handers coming up. Perhaps Tony Muser feeling that on a very warm, very humid night, and Morandini might have hurt himself on that bunt attempt.
I think it caught his hand.
Well, the Cubs could ill afford to lose Mickey Morandini, so a lot of people associated with the Cubs holding their breath right here. And we saw Jose Silva break his hand on a similar play this year trying to bunt, and hopefully Mickey is going to be okay. And Dave Tumbas now and Jim Riggleman going back to the dugout. That's a good sign. Mickey wearing the 2 gloves, and let's hope it cushioned it somewhat.
No balls and 1 strike. Hernandez aboard at first. Nobody out. Morandini got a piece of it apparently into the glove of Sal Fasano, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. So they'll back up a bit on the corners now, the infield. Fasano wants the pitch away. Got it over the plate. Morandini laces it into right field for a base hit. Runners at first and second. Nobody out.
I would think that with 2 ropes here to start the 6th inning, that this might be the time that Tony Muser would go out and get his left-hander. Fasano out to the mound. And here comes Tony. So with an 0-2 count, Rosado hangs a breaking ball. Mickey Morandini takes advantage of it. And out comes the former Cub hitting coach, former Cub third base coach, and current Kansas City manager, Tony Muser.
And we'll be back to give you the details on the new pitcher for Kansas City, if indeed they're going to make a change right now. I wonder if he is. Yep, he's going to bring on Bonus from the bullpen. We'll be back to tell you about him after these messages. Back at beautiful Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri, Wayne Larrivee and Steve Stone, and the Royals are making a pitching change here in the 6th inning with 2 on and nobody out for the Cubs.
Ricky Bonus comes in, just the 4th time. He does have a save, and as you can see, a 2.25 ERA, and he inherits a lot of problems. Runners at first and second, nobody out, and he will be facing Kevin Ori.
Bonus tagged for 2 runs on 4 hits and 2 innings of relief Wednesday against Pittsburgh. His 3rd appearance with Kansas City. His first 6 innings are scoreless. 39,295 the attendance here tonight, and that is considered to be a sellout.
Bigger crowd tonight than last night. Jose Offerman and Jeff King wondering about the defensive alignment and just exactly what Jim Riggleman will do with Kevin Ori.
There is Kevin loosening up. Ori's been on base twice tonight and has scored a run. Kevin Tapani looking to get a few more in the bank before he gets back to the hill in the bottom of the 6th inning. The senior producer director of Cubs baseball is Arnie Harris. Tonight's game produced by John Walgren. The associate producer is Mark Brady, and coordinating producer Kim Fields, and our executive producer WGN Sports is Bob Vorwald. In the booth here we're being assisted by Sherry Coots and the general John Matthews, our Kansas City historian. I would say we're well fortified here tonight, Stoney.
No doubt about that.
You could just puff away on that cigar and I can sip this coffee and we're all set. The giveaway last night on a 90-degree night here in Kansas City was jackets. Tonight, on this 91-degree evening, they gave away beer mugs here in Kansas City.
And Chris Haney loosening up in the bullpen. Bonus came up from AAA at Omaha on June 16th.
See if Arnie Harris got a shot. There's tonight's giveaway. How about that? It's a pretty good beer mug, if I do say so myself. Here's the pitch. That's on the outside corner for a strike. Kevin Ori. John Walgren, our erstwhile producer, says we ought to go and have a few of those after the game.
Well, you can get really dehydrated sitting in that air-conditioned truck.
Oh, no question about it. Those guys are laboring under the worst of circumstances. It's always 75 degrees and sunny in the WGN television truck. Here's a look at the runners at first and second. The infield in at the corners, expecting a passable sacrifice here by Kevin Ory, but he does not show sacrifice. It's a fly ball to center field. Damon backs up on it. He's there, makes the catch, tagged by Hernandez, and he will move easily into third base. And the Cubs have runners at the corners with one out.
Jim Riggleman on occasion has used either the suicide or safety squeeze. And it's not a bad idea with some pretty good speed at third base in Jose Hernandez. Scott has not had the ball out of the infield tonight, and he takes a long look down at Tom Gamboa. That bunt up the first base side, very good in this situation. It puts the pressure on a very shaky Royal defense.
One out, runners at the corners for the Cubs. Service making sure Tom Gamboa goes through the signs once again. Cubs are leading 3-1. We're in the top of the sixth inning. Hernandez at third, Morandini at first. Bonus bluffs the runners back. Dean Palmer playing just about even with the third base bag, and now creeping in a step or two. Service pops it up on the infield for the second consecutive at bat. Jose Offerman makes the catch. 2 men down. A huge out.
Well, this is a huge situation now for Jeff Blauser. He's fanned 3 times. And you've got to come away with a run here. Once again, runners are first and second, nobody out. A similar situation in the third inning. That inning with 2 outs, Manny Alexander doubled into 2 runs. So Jeff Blauser trying to break out of this slump and looking for at least 1 run batted in. It would be his 17th.
2 out, 2 on, and the pitch. 1 ball, no strikes. Brewers have defeated the White Sox 10-5.
Fernando Vina just might be their representative to the All-Star team.
Ricky Bonus on in relief of Jose Rosado. 2 balls, no strikes, and Jeff Blauser. Back-to-back singles by Hernandez and Morandini to start this top of the 6th inning, but arguably 3 of the Cubs struggling the most coming up to the plate in Ory, Service, and now Jeff Blauser. So 2 out, 2 on, and the pitch low and away. Blauser has the count in his favor. 3 balls and no strikes.
Well, if you can get Jeff aboard, the man who's been in the middle of everything offensively for the Cubs tonight, Manny Alexander, will come to the plate. And he is responsible in one way or another for all 3 Cub runs.
The 3-0 delivery, and it's chopped foul. I'm surprised he was swinging on 3-0.
Well, knowing you're going to get a fastball and knowing he's struggling, Jim Riggleman giving him the opportunity
to get on track.
To get on track. Sure. He just happened to foul it off. You figure you're going to get another fastball here.
3-1 the count. Runners at the corners and 2 men down. And again, Bonus taking a lot of time.
After a set of 5 different signs, Ricky Bonus trying to figure out what he'd like to throw.
The 3-1 pitch. Popped it up into right center field. Damon and Sutton. Sutton gives way to Damon, who makes the catch, and the inning is over. No runs, 2 hits, no errors. Cubs strand 2 more. They have stranded 7 in this game. Middle of the 6th, 3-1 Chicago. 6th inning, Cubs still leading 3-1, and Jeff King at the plate with a count of 1 ball, no strikes. Kevin Tapani working into the 6th inning, and King pops it up into shallow right field. Going back for it, Morandini, long run for him, but he makes the catch. Over the shoulder, Mickey Morandini.
Mickey Morandini ran into medium right field to make that play and stayed right with it and did make the play. Watch it again. Mickey calling for it, so Sammy letting him take it. And Mickey reaches up and snags it.
1 out, nobody on for Dean Palmer. Palmer has struck out twice here tonight after tripling and scoring last night in the 2nd inning, which was the inning in which the Royals caught the Cubs, and they took the lead in the next frame with 3 runs in the 3rd. Bounding ball toward the middle. Blauser up with it. Rights himself, throws in time. 2 men down. So fine play made by the shortstop Jeff Blauser, ranging far to his left.
Good play by Jeff up the middle. Then he's able to get himself under control to make a good throw. And they get Palmer by a step and a half.
That brings up Larry Sutton, who was a busy man at the plate last night, but here tonight has been quiet. 0 for 2 with a strikeout in the 4th.
Kevin's changed speeds on him very well, and so far Sutton has been out ahead of everything.
Here's the strike on the outside corner. Kevin has worked at least 6 innings in 11 of his starts this season. He has allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in 7 starts and issued 2 or fewer walks in 11 starts.
Well, that's what Jim Riggleman and Phil Regan wanted in this outing here tonight. Kevin Tapani to just shut down the Royals. And so far he's done just that.
And he's ahead in the count on Larry Sutton. 1 ball and 2 strikes. There is the vulture, Phil Regan. Swing and a miss, and the inning is over. 2nd time Sutton has struck out tonight. 3 up, 3 down go the Royals in the 6th. To the 7th we go, with the Cubs leading 3-1. Tonight's Discover Card Payback Playback. On June 13th, Matt Meeski's suicide squeeze bunt scored Mickey Morandini as the Cubs defeated the Phillies 10-8 in 10 innings. Well, Steve Stone will take his hot dog with plenty of mustard on it. I'll settle for just a little relish. And by the 9th inning, those fans ought to be back up here with our
line's getting a little lengthy with a filled-in ballpark here tonight.
Absolutely. Sellout crowd here tonight. But a great atmosphere for this weekend series between the Cubs and the Royals.
And the hero of the night for the Cubs, Manny Alexander, standing in. And he's been terrific tonight.
Manny takes the first pitch to him. It's a fly ball to left field. And camping under it, Jeff Conine, and the former Marlin makes the catch, 1 away. Let's pause here for station identification.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN, Chicago.
Don't forget, WGN News follows our game. Mark Grace, the hitter, looks at a strike on the outside corner from Ricky Bonus, who is on in relief of Jose Rosado. Gracie 0 for 3 tonight. It's a 5-game hitting streak on the line. Strike at the knees and marked down to the count. No balls and 2 strikes.
At one point, Ricky Bonus was a pretty good starter for the Milwaukee Brewers. Then he hurt his arm, and since then he's made the rounds trying to resurrect his career out of the bullpen for the Royals.
Breaking pitch tapped on the ground toward 3rd. And a tough play for Dean Palmer. Did they get him? Yes, they did.
There's a good effort by Dean Palmer as Mark Grace bidding to squib a hit up the 3rd base side, but Dean Palmer has other ideas, and he makes a good off-balance throw and a good stretch on the other end by Jeff King. And the fans react everywhere we go to Sammy Sosa, who just missed his 33rd home run by about 6 inches in the 5th inning.
Sosa bidding for his 20th home run in the month of June. He has a double and 3 trips. Fly ball, center field. Johnny Damon with room. 1, 2, 3 go the Cubs in the 7th. They're stretching in Kansas City with the Cubs on top by 2. 7th inning, Conine, Lopez, and Fasano rather, and Conine taps it to 3rd. Ori on the run. Nicely done. 1 away.
Dean Palmer made a beautiful play last inning, and now Kevin Ory matches it with a play of his own, charging that ball aggressively, firing it across, and cutting down Conine at first. Good effort by Kevin Ory. Comes up, gets a good strong throw across, and does nip him at first base.
We've seen back-to-back outstanding plays at third base, as you mentioned, by Palmer and Kevin Ory. Mendy Lopez 0 for 2 tonight. Lopez looks at strike one called. The Royals will be happy if Lopez can hit about 230 to 250 and just give them some stability defensively at shortstop and help to tighten things up a little bit in what has been a porous infield for them defensively this year.
Mendy's batting average in the minor leagues was in the 230s. They don't expect a whole lot from him offensively. But his errant throw tonight opened the door for the Cubs for 2 runs. And that's something that he normally will not do. He's got great hands. He originally came up a third baseman, moved over to shortstop. You don't see that too often as Terry Mulholland gets ready. You don't see a lot of third basemen with the range to play shortstop. Of course, the most notable, Mr. Ripken in Baltimore.
1-2 delivery. And a swinging strike 3. That's 8 Ks now for Kevin Tapani. Moments ago, Mark McGwire hit a home run. And that would be what, his 36th of the season?
36. Now 4 between Sammy and Mark.
St. Louis leads 6-1 in the 7th inning at Minnesota. No balls and 1 strike the count on Sal Fasano. Fasano has singled and homered in this ball game here tonight. 2 out, nobody on, and he takes one off the arm for the team, so to speak.
Believe me, Kevin was not trying to hit Sal Fasano because there's no way in the world that you want the tying run to come to bat. So the fans here don't like it, but Sal Fasano decided that he wanted to take one for the club. He leans in a la Craig Biggio and winds up at first base, and that's exactly what Biggio does all the time. When you need a base runner, you just lean into it, you take your base, and he knows that he's bringing the tying run to the plate.
He's a big, strong guy, and he knows Kerry Wood's not out there throwing at him, so
right.
He'll take one for the team tonight.
He would have thought twice about Kerry Wood on the mound.
I mean, on another day, maybe not. Damon pulls it down the right field line. If it's fair, it's treble. It's foul. Thank goodness. Two out. Fasano back to first. Damon down to the count. No balls and 1 strike.
That one didn't miss by much.
It's only 3:30 down the lines here at Kauffman Stadium.
And he really is the only left-handed power on this team.
Damon with 8 home runs. Solid base hit right field. Fasano pulls into second. He's not going anywhere on Sammy Sosa's arm. So 2 out.
The second baseman.
Fasano hit by a pitch. Damon a 2-out single. And the Royals have runners at first and second, and Jose Offerman coming to the plate. Jim Riggleman talking with his pitching coach, wondering how much longer he should go with Kevin Tapani. And they make a change. Pinch runner coming in for Sal Fasano.
And it's Sweeney.
Mike Sweeney,
who will also catch as well as pinch run. Now you wonder if they would pinch hit for Offerman if you go to Terry Mulholland. But I'm assuming he's going to stay with Kevin Tapani here. That's just a feeling I get. We'll have to see what Riggs wants. He's got a veteran. He says, "Are you okay?" Kevin says, "Yeah, I'm okay. I didn't need to hit Fasano in that situation, but I'm okay." And he says, "Okay, go get him, pal."
double barrel action now in the bullpen. Terry Adams joining Terry Mulholland, loosening up. Jose Offerman 0 for 3, grounded to first in the first, called out on strikes in the third, and grounded back to the box in the fifth. Damon aboard at first, and now Mike Sweeney, the pinch runner, at second base. 2 out, Cubs leading by 2, and the pitch on the outside corner for a called strike.
Offerman hasn't liked the calls all night by Mike Everett. And you would think up for the 4th time he would have realized that when Kevin throws it out there, it's going to be called, whether you agree with it or not.
Cubs are trying to snap a nasty 6-game losing streak, and the pitch dumped down the left field line. This is trouble. It's a fair ball. Sweeney scores. Damon to third. Sliding into second base with a run-producing double is Jose Offerman. All of this with 2 outs. It's a 3-2 ball game.
RBI number 35 for Jose Offerman. So the steady diet of outside pitches forced Offerman to look away. That wasn't a strike, and he was able to take it down the line. Kevin stayed way away, and Offerman with good plate coverage away. That's going to be it for Kevin Tapani. He's going to exit this one with the game on the bases and Hal Morris up, and that should probably mean that Terry Mulholland will trot into this game.
So we'll be back to tell you about the new Cubs pitcher, Terry Mulholland, when we return after these messages.
Two ERA 3.71 on for the 29th time. He inherits base runners at 2nd and 3rd. And the left-hander Hal Morris up, and Terry is in to get Morris out. If he doesn't get him, they'll go to the right-hander against King. And twice before tonight, Kevin Tapani had 2 on and 2 out. He got the strikeout both times. This one to Dean Palmer, and the second time to Jeff King. And Kevin Tapani unhappy, and probably not near as unhappy about the pitches to Damon and Offerman, but with 2 outs and nobody on, he hit Sal Fasano, and that started things rolling. And a very tough hitter, even with the left-hander up, is Hal Morris.
Morris 2 for 3 against Tapani tonight. 2 singles. He lined out to left field his last trip to the plate. Facing the left-hander Mulholland, who misses outside for ball 1.
Now Hal Morris, lifetime against Mulholland, hasn't had a lot of luck. Just 4 for 19, and he's yet to have an extra base hit.
Mulholland has retired 17 of the 28 first batters he's faced in relief roles this season. Misdirected play, but right at Morandini. And it'll go 1-4-3 to end the inning. The Royals score a run, but they leave a couple on. At the end of 7, the Cubs lead is by the slimmest of margins. Wayne Larrabee pinch hitting for Chip Carey, who'll be back in the broadcast booth tomorrow afternoon. Steve Stone alongside, and take a look at Terry Mulholland getting a big out.
Cubs get a big break. This one hitting off Terry's glove. It would have been right back up the middle, and it would have scored 2, but it's redirected right at Mickey Morandini. And they get Morris out. Mike Sweeney stays in the game behind the plate, and Pedro Valdez comes on to hit for Matt Mieske. Pedro had 3 hits last night.
Valdez, the left-handed hitter, takes a pitch upstairs for ball 1. Bonus has worked 2 perfect innings here in relief of Jose Rosado. Pitch down low. It's 2 balls and no strikes. Rosado went 5+ innings. Gave up 8 hits, 3 runs, all of which were earned. He struck out 8 and he walked 1. The 2-0 pitch to Valdez, a high pop down the left field line, drifting back is Conine to the warning track, and he makes the catch in the corner.
It doesn't take much to get it out of here down the line, and Pedro Valdez just missed, chasing Conine all the way back to the track. It's only 330, and he hit it about 320.
Scott Service and Matt Wisenet are warming up for Kansas City in the bullpen out in right field. Jose Hernandez has a couple of hits here tonight as you get a look at the Royals action. One out, nobody on. The Cubs are leading 3-2. We're in the top of the 8th inning. There's a strike to the knees. Boy, I tell you, from the Cubs' point of view, runs are becoming hard to come by, aren't they?
The Cubs have squandered some golden opportunities, leaving the bases loaded in the 4th.
Jose hits it high and deep down the left field line. It is foul.
That was way back, but unfortunately on the left side of the pole. Cubs had runners at first and second, nobody out in the 6th inning, and they came up empty.
Leaving 2 more on base. They have left 7 here tonight in the ball game.
So this has become a much closer game than it probably should have been. And Jose just missed a home run that would have given the Cubs a 2-run lead.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And you know, Steve, when you're trying to break out of a slump like this, it always seems like nothing comes easy. I mean, you're in a situation where you should be up by 2 or 3 runs, and yet you've left some men on base, and here you are in a dogfight 3-2 in the 8th inning. And he lines it to right field, but Sutton right there makes the catch, 2 men down.
Well, you would think that Terry Adams would probably come into the ball game. Terry Mulholland did his job. He got the tough left-hander, but leading off in the 8th inning, King and Palmer, 2 of the home run threats. Terry Mulholland does a good job, not only making a good pitch, but then deflecting the ball to Mickey Morandini.
Morandini has 2 hits in 3 trips to the plate. Sutton robbed him of another in the 4th inning. No balls and 1 strike.
They play Morandini a lot like they've played Mark Grace, which is around toward left and left center. As you can see, the defense, it's been a radical shift on both Morandini and Grace. Now Morandini has pulled the ball, and if he pulls it in the gap in right center field, that will be a triple.
Tony Muser has used some different looking defensive alignments, but he knows these Cubs hitters for the most part. Pitch outside, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike on Morandini.
Well, Morandini wasn't there when Tony was there, so maybe he can foil the defense.
Dean Palmer in a bit at 3rd. The pitch is hit in the air to center field. Damon camps under it. 1, 2, 3 go the Cubs once again. In the middle of the 8th, still 3-2 Chicago. Back at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, bottom of the 8th inning, and the Cubs have their 3rd pitcher of the night on, Terry Adams.
Terry Adams at 6.5 ERA, .291 on for the 39th time. He's struggled lately, and he's got the 2 home run hitters back-to-back to lead off the 8th inning.
Jeff King, Dean Palmer, Larry Sutton scheduled for Kansas City, and there's a strike right down the middle.
Terrell Lowry is taken over in center field. Jose Hernandez has shifted to left.
There's Jose and Terrell Lowry. 1 ball, 1 strike now the count as Adams misses low and away. Earlier today, Houston was able to beat Cleveland 9-5. Milwaukee over the White Sox 10-5. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count.
St. Louis leading in the 8th 6-2, so it's been a good day for the division, and the Cubs will have to win to keep their spot.
Cincinnati and Detroit tied at 4 apiece. That game has moved to the 12th.
I like Gary Gaetti with the quote that came out of Minnesota. He was talking about the 2 parks in Chicago. He said at Wrigley Field he feels like King Kong, and at Comiskey Park like Donkey Kong.
Oh. Still 1-2 on the hitter Jeff King. Montreal beat Baltimore 8-1.
Baltimore is really having its problems.
Colorado leading Oakland 5-4 in the 9th inning. Seattle leads Arizona 1-0. That game in the 2nd. Well, you know, the big disappointment teams, Steve, if you take a look at it, have been Seattle. Bullpen problems have foiled their attempts, and then Baltimore, biggest payroll in baseball.
Very much so. Use that outside corner, Terry. It's been wide tonight.
Service sets up out there, and the pitch chop foul by King. I would say the outside corner of that plate stretches out to Johnson County. What county are we in here? We're in Missouri, of course, here. Johnson County's in Kansas. We're in Jackson County here. 2-2 pitch. Ooh, King laid off it, and it's 3 balls and 2 strikes.
It's been the walks that have hurt Terry recently. And so somehow you got to get this one close to King.
Adams has allowed 5 runs in his last 3 appearances. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Ball 4.
When Terry Adams came on in Detroit, he walked 2 in a third of an inning. It turned into 2 runs, and he turned into the losing pitcher.
So King aboard at first, and Dean Palmer comes to the plate. Palmer 0 for 3 here tonight. He has struck out twice, but that was against Kevin Tapani.
Here's a man who can ground into a double play with the best of them. 8 of them this year.
1 ball, no strikes. Adams missing up high.
Only 1 Royal is grounded into more, and that's Hal Morris.
Kansas City, not a good come from behind team late. Adams, the 3rd Chicago pitcher of the night. Runner going, pitches line through the vacated hole at second base into right field for a base hit. The Royals have runners at the corners and nobody out.
Well, that one came close to hitting Jeff King, and the Cubs have gotten a few breaks tonight. That would have been the biggest break of the night. The hit and run. King was going. Adams did not look at him at first base. He would have stolen second base easily, and he almost ran into the ball. Palmer lines it. You see, just barely gets by, and he easily goes to third. Runners at the corners, nobody out, representing the tying and go-ahead run for Larry Sutton, who was handled very easily by Kevin Tapani.
Bullpen problems have been haunting the Cubs during this recent downturn in fortunes following the 10-game winning streak. Sutton is 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts, and as Steve mentioned, all of that against tonight's Chicago starter Kevin Tapani.
Now, if you're Jim Riggleman, you're talking to the infield. You got a choice. You can move in. They're moving halfway, and a little chopper. They're not going to be able to get King.
Pitch inside for ball 1. Runners at the corners. Palmer on at first. Jeff King over at third.
It's a pretty difficult decision whether to look for 2 or come home. On a hard hit ball, you'd have to say they're coming home with it.
The 1-0 pitch. Base hit right field. Tie ball game. King scores. Sammy fumbled it in right field, and into third base goes Palmer.
Going to be an error on Sammy because Palmer had stopped at second. So when things go wrong, they go very wrong for not only Terry Adams and Jim Riggleman, but in this case, Sammy Sosa will pick up his 5th error of the year. Runners still at the corners, nobody out. It's a 3-3 game. Kevin Tapani can't win it, and Larry Sutton has driven his 29th run of the year. As this one bounces up, bounces by Sammy. Palmer hustles his way into third, and now Jim Riggleman coming out to the mound. Yet another disappointing outing for Terry Adams. And King scores the tying run.
So a brand new ball game here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And the meeting of the infield on the mound. Jim Riggleman, the manager, doing all of the talking. Oh, the frustration of a 6-game losing streak. Cubs just 4-13 in their last 17 games. Houston, which had a 5-game lead on both the Cubs and Milwaukee, won earlier today. The Brewers have won in Chicago tonight, and the Cubs in jeopardy of falling if they drop this game into 3rd place in the division.
Now, the big advantage you might have, if you have any here, is that you have the right-hand hitters Conine, Lopez, and Sweeney, and it's the bottom 3rd of the order. Infield in now, and they have to get in because they've got to cut off the go-ahead run at the plate. You can't look for 2 in that infield.
Here's the pitch. Swung out and fouled in and out of the glove of Scott Service. No balls and 1 strike on Jeff Conine. Conine a single and 3 trips. Dean Palmer aboard at third, and Larry Sutton on at first. The go-ahead run just 90 feet away. Service wants it outside. The pitch is swung on and fouled on the right side. Jeff Conine rifled a bullet into the stands on the first base side.
Well, if you can strike out Conine here, and he's done that this year 33 times in about 135 at bats, then you can play the infield at double play depth. And let's see what happens with everybody in the infield.
2-strike pitch. Checked his swing, and Adams just missed. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Shane Mack moves into the on-deck circle.
He will hit for Mendy Lopez. Sutton leads away from first. Palmer on third, and the pitch taken outside.
And what had been a very generous outside corner gets a little less generous here. Pretty good ratio for Jeff Conine with a man at third and less than 2 outs. You need a strikeout here if you're Terry Adams.
Runners at the corners and nobody out. 2-2 pitch. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Oh my.
And the question is, if you're Tony Muser, do you send Sutton at first base? You got the infield in. It would be a gamble.
Conine's only hit into 4 double plays. 3-2 the count. Runner wasn't going. Bounding ball to second. Ori checks the runner, throws to Morandini. They get Sutton at second on the force. Everyone else hangs on. So a big out there.
And good play by Kevin Ori. He made sure that Dean Palmer wasn't going, and he wasn't going to go on that one. And then they get the force out at second. With everybody in the infield, you can't really think of 2. He's got to wait for Mickey Morandini, who was in, to get to the bag, make sure of his throw. They get the force out. And now you can look for 2 in the infield. But on a hard hit ball, if Palmer's coming home and Mack can run, you got to be really sure of 2. They're about halfway in the infield.
Shane Mack is a pinch hitter this season, 3 for 9 with a homer and 4 runs batted in. So the infield able to back up a couple of steps into double play position, hoping to retire the Royals. Here's the pitch, down low and away, ball 1. Royals have scored a run on 2 hits. There has been an error in the inning. Riggleman and
Jim Riggleman,
defense.
yeah, well, he wants him to get in. You can't afford a missed double play.
The 1-0 delivery, 2 balls, no strikes.
They were back at halfway, and Jim Riggleman was saying, come on in a little bit, boys. On a chopper where you're not going to get a double play, you might have a shot at the plate because Palmer does not have particularly good speed.
3-3 ball game, bottom of the 8th inning. Terry Adams trying to work out of a 1-out, 2-on jam. Fouled back, and Adams has a count of 2 balls and 1 strike on Shane Mack. Mack pinch hitting for the shortstop, Mendy Lopez.
What kind of hurts the Royals in this situation is with Terry Pendleton on the disabled list, they have nobody really from the left side that can put a lot of pressure on the right-handed short relievers, so you have to go at them with right-hand hitters.
2 balls, 1 strike. And it's 3-1. Terry has worked behind 3 of the 5 hitters he's faced in this inning. Actually, he's worked behind all of them because Palmer hit a 1-0 pitch for a single. Sutton a 1-0 pitch for a single. 3 balls and 1 strike now, the count on Shane Mack. Runners at the corners. And he hit him. That loads the bases.
And Mike Sweeney is not the defensive catcher that Sal Fasano is, but he is the offensive counterpart in a catching platoon system. And Terry Adams tried to jam him, and he got this one in a little too far. Shane Mack will go to first base. So the base is loaded, no margin for error. And Jeff Blauser looking into the dugout for Jim Riggleman to see where he might want him to play here, because right now they're back all the way around the infield looking for two because Sweeney doesn't run all that well.
Sweeney is grounded into 3 double plays. He's a .248 hitter. And he looks at a pitch on the outside corner for a called strike. With the bases loaded, this guy's pretty good. Sweeney has 4 homers, 12 runs batted in on the season. He also has a double. The 0-1 pitch. Check to swing, and it's 1-1. Bases are loaded with Royals. Palmer on at third. Conine at second. Shane Mack at first.
Get by Sweeney. You've got Bob Patterson ready for Johnny Damon in the on-deck circle.
1-1 pitch. Check to swing. Takes it outside, and it's 2-1. My goodness, what does it take to snap a 6-game losing streak for manager Jim Riggleman? 3-3 in the bottom of the 8th. Down the line, foul. My goodness, that would have brought home at least 2. Had that been about 1.5 feet to the left. Thank goodness.
You need a strikeout here if you're Terry Adams. Sweeney's only fanned 18 times in 137 at bats. That's a pretty good ratio for a guy that doesn't play all the time.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, bases full. Sweeney wants time.
Service wanted the slider away. Let's see if he gets it there.
Here's the pitch. 3-2 as Adams misses wide of the mark.
Johnny Damon waiting on deck. A double play ground ball gets you out of the inning.
Full count and nowhere to put Mike Sweeney. Fans rise to their feet here at Kauffman Stadium. They get the sense that this could be ball game. The 3-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. A huge strikeout for Terry Adams. With the bases loaded, 2 men down, and here comes Jim Riggleman.
It'll be Patterson against Damon with the bases loaded, but now they're 2 outs. Terry goes to the slider on 3-2, and it's down and out of the zone, and Sweeney expands that strike zone and goes down on strikes. And here comes Bob Patterson.
And we will be back to tell you about the new Cubs pitcher after these messages and a sigh of relief. Back at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, bottom of the 8th inning, tied at 3 apiece. Royals with the bases loaded, 2 out, and Bob Patterson comes on.
Patterson at 1-0, the ERA 5.68 out for the 28th time. And one advantage he might have against Johnny Damon. Been up 4 times tonight without a walk. And over the course of this year, he's walked 26 times in 326 at bats. So he usually goes up there swinging. Terry Adams, another disappointing outing. With the bases loaded during the course of his career, Johnny Damon has been dynamite. And the bases are indeed loaded with the game on the line for Bob Patterson.
Well, let's see if the crafty veteran can get this youngster out and get the Cubs out of this inning, and we'll go to the 9th with the game squared.
Looking ahead to the 9th inning. It's the bottom part of the order. The Ori, Service, and Blauser. And depending on who's out there, probably a pinch hitter for Scott Service.
Johnny Damon earlier in his career struggled against left-handed pitching. And there's a look at the difference He hits those right-handers much better.
They play him around toward left center field, thinking that Patterson is going to stay away and that Damon would hit it that way.
Damon 1 for 4, a single in the 7th. Bottom of the 8th, bases loaded, 2 outs. Here's the pitch. Swung on and bounding ball to Morandini. This will be the inning. And the Royals leave 3 here in the 8th, but they do tie the game on a couple of hits. There was an error. We're going to the 9th, tied at 3. Now it's time to take a look at the Ameritech play that makes a difference.
The Ameritech playbook tonight is 2 outs in the 8th. The 3-2 slider by Terry Adams. That retires Mike Sweeney, and then the first pitch ground ball out to Johnny Damon by Bob Patterson, and those are the 2 plays that make a difference here in Ameritech playbook. And Scott Service comes into the game for the Royals.
And Service facing Kevin Ory, and deals ball 1.
And Scott Service in the on-deck circle for the moment for the Cubs. So Service on for the 35th time, 1-1, a 3.50 ERA.
Strike to the knees, and it's 1-1.
He is a king-size right-hander, 6'6", 230 out of Cincinnati, and Shane Halter takes over at short.
1 ball, 1 strike. 1-2. Kevin Ory tonight. He's been on base twice, reached on a fielder's choice and scored in the 3rd. He walked in the 4th, flied out to center in the 6th. 3-3 ball game, top of the 9th. And excuse me, check swing back to the box. Service throws out Ory, 1 away.
Scott Service now being called back, and in his place Tyler Houston. So we will not see the Service matchup. We will see the Houston Service matchup. Tyler Houston last night hit a towering home run. That coming in the 6th inning.
Up into the fountains in right center field.
And let's hope that he can duplicate that as Sweeney goes out to talk with Service on what they want to do to Tyler Houston, who has been red hot since coming off the disabled list.
He was on the disabled list from May 26th through June 23rd with a strained right hamstring, but as you mentioned, he's gone 5 for 9 with a homer in the 3 games since being activated. 1 for 9 as a pinch hitter this season with an RBI. During his major league career, however, 10 for 58, 9 runs batted in. And here's the pitch that misses outside for ball 1 to Tyler Houston.
You would think they would try to stay away from Tyler Houston here.
And Houston pulls it foul. It's 1-1.
Last night, Tyler Houston unloaded on one. It was measured at 4:08. He thought it was a lot longer. Hippolito Pichardo throws it over the bush.
1-1 pitch. The outside corner, and it's 1-2. 1 out, nobody on. Top of the 9th inning. Scott Service on the mound for the Royals. He's the 3rd pitcher of the night. Swing and a miss, and Tyler Houston goes down on strikes, 2 men down.
Rod Beck is loosening up in case the Cubs do score a run, but if they don't, you'd have to say that Patterson would have to be in to face Offerman and Morris before King comes up. And there's a look at Bob Patterson.
2 out, nobody on for Jeff Blauser. Blauser has struggled, 0 for 4. He has struck out 3 times and looks at a strike to the knees. Blauser just 1 for 15 on this road trip now, up to date tonight. Down to the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Cubs with 2 runs in the 3rd, added another in the 5th, but have been unable to hold on to the lead over the Royals. Kansas City scraped across a run in the 5th, another in the 7th, and 1 more in the 8th. Swing and a miss. There goes the bat, and there go the Cubs in the top of the 9th. 3 up, 3 down, nothing across. The Cubs have not stirred since they scored in the 5th inning, and the Royals come to the plate in the bottom of the 9th with a chance to win in regulation. Young Cubs fan is looking at this ball game through rose-colored glasses. Ever the optimist, the Cubs fans. Tyler Houston is behind the plate now in place of Scott Service.
And Bob Patterson has a couple of jobs to do. Retiring Offerman, who will turn around to hit from the right side, where you really want to face him because none of his 4 home runs have come from that side. And then Hal Morris. But after that, Mark Peixoto loosening up for King and potentially Palmer, the 2 right-handed sluggers of the Royals.
Jose Offerman from the right side, 278, 4 doubles, 3 triples, no homers, as Stoney mentioned, and 9 runs batted in.
And his double scored the 2nd Royal run, that coming off Kevin Tapani in the 7th.
Patterson delivers a strike on the outside corner. Three ball game, bottom of the 9th. And Offerman dumps it into left center field, a base hit. Jose Hernandez up with it, and the Royals have the leadoff man aboard, the potential winning run on at first.
After going 0 for 3, Jose Offerman is now 2 for 2 in his last at bats. He is the winning run. Now Hal Morris has grounded into more double plays than anybody on this Royals team. So if he does hit the ball on the ground, you can turn a pair, but you would think that Tony Muser would certainly entertain the idea of him bunting. He is a quality hitter, however.
2 for 4 tonight, Hal Morris. Houston on the outside portion of the plate. Patterson delivers it there. Morris does not offer, and it's 1 ball to no strikes.
Richie Dower, former Baltimore Oriole second baseman, giving the signs flashed to him by Tony Muser.
Tying, make it the go-ahead run or winning run on at first. And Morris bunting. I think that may have surprised the Cubs a little bit. Morris fouls it off. 1 ball, 1 strike.
He's not used to bunting. Only 1 sacrifice this year. You would think with Ori in close at third, just about everybody shifting in that infield, you would allow Morris to swing away. He's a very tough hitter, and it doesn't matter who's on the mound.
Jeff King is on deck to be followed by Dean Palmer in the hole. 1 ball, 1 strike. Patterson move over to first. Offerman not going anywhere.
Offerman is the best base runner on this team. 17 stolen bases. He's been caught 4 times.
1 ball, 1 strike, the count. And the bunt fouled back over the screen and out of play. Boy, I tell you, that was a bailout type situation for Hal Morris.
Well, that's because he threw it right at him. This was either bunted or get hit by it.
Oh, look at Morris. He stepped way over the plate, didn't he?
Well, he was very fortunate to get his anatomy out of the way of this one. Well, now you can set up with a double play situation if Morris does hit the ball on the ground.
Offerman the runner at first, nobody out. 3-3 ball game, bottom of the 9th. Here's the 1-2 pitch. He bunts it foul.
Boy, that's hard to believe.
Strikeout on the bunt attempt.
Fans here booing because you get a guy who's bunted once all year. He's hitting .345, and Morris is probably going to tear up the clubhouse. And Jim Riggleman will go to the bullpen. Tyler Houston will go to his knees, getting hit by this one. And there is a very surprising call by Tony Muser.
Boy, that's one we'll have to wait for an explanation on that one. The Cubs are going to make another pitching change, and Rod Beck is trotting in from the left field bullpen. We'll be back to tell you about him after these messages. In the bottom of the 9th inning with 1 out and potential game-winning run at first base in the bottom of the 9th inning.
And there you look at the numbers. On for the 37th time, a 1-1 record, a 3.86 ERA. Giving up more hits than innings pitched, but the control has been very good. If I'm Rod Beck, I'm taking a real close look at Jose Offerman at first base. Those fans enjoying the music. And I got to believe that Offerman will be looking for stolen base number 18 fairly early in the count. So the pressure on Tyler Houston and Rod Beck to somehow hold Offerman close at first.
And again, I think surprise on the part of almost everybody. Hal Morris bunting with 2 strikes on it. Fouled it off at the plate. And that goes as a strikeout and a very important out in this inning.
Offerman's the best
on this team.
One of the best in the league percentage-wise. And with the lack of the bunt to get him to second, I think maybe either call a pitch out on the first pitch or hold him very close at first.
So Rod Beck ready to go. Jose Offerman off of first. Jeff King and a runner going. Pitch is taken. Throw down to second base. Not in time. Offerman in scoring position.
Well, you got to know that he's running on the first pitch, and you call something off speed, and he steals it easily. His 18th stolen base. When you don't get the bunt down, that's almost a given, and I think you got to walk Jeff King now. Offerman with very good speed, and he's in easily. Good throw by Tyler Houston, but he gets too big a jump against Rod Beck. Yep, they're going to pitch to him.
No balls, 1 strike the count, and now time is called. Houston out to the mound. They might be changing the signals they'll be using here in this situation with Offerman at second base. Jeff King has walked twice in 4 trips.
Well, you got the outfield was very shallow. Offerman's not at third base, boys. He's at second. Move back a few steps. Now they're starting to back up.
1 strike pitch is fouled off, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. Rod Beck has retired 25 of the 36 first batters he has faced this season.
You got to keep a close eye on Offerman at second, because in this situation he might take off.
No balls, 2 strikes, the count on the hitter. High and tight to Jeff King. It's 1-2. 3-3 ball game, bottom of the 9th.
Mickey Morandini is paying a little attention now to Offerman at second, at least shortening up that lead a step or so.
The infield swung around a bit toward the left side for King. And the 1-2 pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, Rod Beck wanted that as he stares in at Mike Everett. Everett thought it was low. Rod Beck thought that was strike 3. Watch it again. Dipped a little low. Tyler tried to yank it back in the zone.
2 balls, 2 strikes, the count. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Huge strikeout there for Rod Beck. 2 men down.
The third baseman, Dean Palmer.
Big pitch by Rod Beck. And this one gets by Jeff King. Looked like it might have been the forkball. King swung over the top. Now 1 more bullet to dodge, and Dean Palmer.
Palmer singled his last trip to the plate, 1 for 4 tonight. Game-winning run at second, and the pitch high and tight. 1 ball, no strikes.
Just as soon ended here because the guy on deck has gotten some big hits for him. That's Larry Sutton.
University of Illinois product. Rod Beck not thinking about Sutton. His concentration is focused on Dean Palmer, and the pitch chopped foul at the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike.
The Cubs keep it alive. A good 10th inning. Alexander, Grace, and Sosa. But first, you got to get by Palmer, who has not been real good with 2 outs and runners in scoring position.
Offerman at second. 2 men down. 1 ball, 1 strike, the count on Dean Palmer. Rod Beck. Back to the box. Beck able to recover. The inning is over. We'll go to the 10th inning with the score tied at 3. Wayne Larrabee, Steve Stone back at Kauffman Stadium. Better than 39,000 on hand tonight, and they'll get a little overtime as the Cubs and Royals go to the 10th inning, tied at 3 apiece. But Steve, the Cubs haven't scored since the 5th inning. Matter of fact, since the 5th inning, they've had only 2 hits. And Cub fans, remember your chance to see the Cubs clubhouse, the WGN TV press box, go on the field and in the dugout as the Cubs present exclusive tours of Wrigley Field. Tickets are just a $10 donation to Cubs Care, and tours are available on selected weekends. The next tour is tomorrow, June 28th. For tickets, call 312-831-CUBS.
Well, here's the time to win it, because here's the man that's responsible for 3 of the runs. Manny Alexander, a 2-run double in the 3rd. Singled and scored the 3rd run in the 5th. Let's see if they can get it started against Scott Service.
Service is the 3rd pitcher of the night for the Royals, and a strike down the middle. Service came on in the 9th for Kansas City. And the 0-1 pitch to Manny is on the outside corner. No balls and 2 strikes. The 2-strike pitch, and Manny just trying to stay alive. Let's pause here for station identification.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN, Chicago.
Don't forget, WGN News follows our game. The 2-strike pitch. That one got away.
Well, that's the old waste pitch.
Yeah.
You got to believe that he wants to get Manny Alexander out on a curveball. So he decides to throw this one to the screen. And to the screen it goes. So if Manny is looking away, maybe he can take that curveball to right center field.
Rod Beck came on and did his job. 1 ball, 2 strikes, the count. Swing and a miss, strike 3, 1 out.
Sometimes you got a real good idea, you know what's coming, but still, if you make a good pitch, it's tough to hit. And it is indeed that little slider. This one not as good as the others, but good enough.
11 strikeouts by Kansas City pitching here tonight.
Well, they've stayed away from Mark Grace all night, and they've played him that way.
Grace 0 for 4. Looks at a pitch in the dirt. Here's the pitch, and it's low and away. 2 balls, no strikes. Extra inning affairs. Cubs have won 6 of 11. Royals 3 of 5. There's a strike, and it's 2-1.
Well, you would think the way they're defending Mark Grace that all he's going to see is hard stuff away, because there's a huge gap in left center field. If he can just in right center field, if he can pull the ball.
2-1 delivery. Call that a strike. Grace says he held up. And the home plate umpire rings him up for strike 2. Some of the Cubs fans not happy with this call.
This is supposed to be away. He got it in, and Mark Grace looked like he checked his swing. Mike Everett says no.
2-2 pitch. Chopped it on the ground, foul.
He hit it twice.
Side. Yeah, he did, didn't he? That'd be a penalty in the golf course.
Well, he fouled it, and just to make sure it stayed foul, he hit it again.
Did you ever do that in a tournament? Coming out of a sand trap, hit the ball twice?
No, but I've seen it done on a number of occasions.
I would never call that on myself. I'd be just delighted I got the ball out of the bunker. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and the pitch. Swung on, hit down the right field line. Sutton on the run, makes the catch.
It's hard to believe that they went inside to Mark Grace. And yet Larry Sutton was right there down the right field line. When Mark Grace hits this ball right on the button, he looks up at Sutton as if to say, what are you doing there? Gracie turns on it, gets the only inside pitch that he's gotten all night, and Larry Sutton, who's been in front of just about every line drive, is in front of another one.
What Tony Muser has done with his defensive alignments is take the lines away from Mark Grace, who dumps a lot of doubles down the lines in his career. Sammy Sosa with one swing of the bat can put the Cubs in front, and he looks at strike one of the inside corner and a bewildered look at the home plate umpire.
Well, that one curved around the plate. Sammy has just one thing in mind right now, and that's taking the ball out of the ballpark. He's hoping that Service hangs one of those sliders.
The strike one pitch. Home run swing there. Sosa down to the count 0-2. 2 out, nobody on. Top of the 10th inning. Cubs trying to snap a 6-game losing streak. Royals trying to win their 3rd in a row at home. Scott Service to Sammy Sosa. The 0-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3, and the inning is over. Service has struck out 4 in his 2 innings of work. Still tied at 3 as we head to the bottom of the 10th. Wayne Larrivee with Steve Stone. Great to have you with us as we go to the bottom of the 10th inning in this one. Cubs and Royals tied at 3 apiece.
Bullpen up and going for Kansas City. Looks like it might be Matt Wisenet. Scott Service was brilliant through 2 innings after Ricky Bonas came on in relief of Jose Rosado. Bonas with 3 perfect innings in relief kept the Royals in the game till they could catch up, and the bullpen has been flawless for Tony Muser tonight.
Larry Sutton has singled in 4 trips to the plate, and Ron Beck starts him off with a strike. Sutton has made several outstanding plays in right field tonight. The 0-1 delivery. And he chops it on the ground. Morandini coming in for it. Quick toss to Grace in time. Well, the ball doesn't come off that infield the way it used to here at Kansas City.
Well, it used to be the artificial surface. Now it's the natural grass, and it takes a while to get to the infielders. You have to be a lot more aggressive these days.
Indeed you do. For that hard, hot artificial surface that, of course, you played on in your career here. Jeff Conine, the hitter. Conine, 1 hit in 4 trips, a single in the 4th. Tried to check his swing. Did he go around? They say he did. Strike 1.
The last base hit for the Cubs was Morandini in the 6th inning when the Cubs had 1st and 2nd, nobody out. Since that time, the Royals bullpen has been perfect.
Here's the strike 1 pitch to Conine, who slaps it into right field for a base hit. 1-out single by Jeff Conine, and once again the Royals get the potential game-winning run to first.
Shane Halter comes on for the first time in the series as Jeff Conine stays with this breaking ball and just serves it into right field. So Halter with a couple of home runs, hitting .245.
Halter, a versatile performer, can play 6 different positions, and he hits a fly ball into left field, but again Hernandez had him played perfectly and makes the catch. The outfield alignments for both teams have been pretty sound here in this ball game tonight. So 2 men down, and it brings up Mike Sweeney. Sweeney, a strikeout victim in the 8th.
That probably was one of the biggest outs of the game, because with the bases loaded, only 1 out, a fly ball would have brought what would have been the winning run. But Sweeney was fanned by Terry Adams.
Here's the pitch, and that's a little bit low and inside. 1 ball, no strikes.
Outfield has to back up a few steps. You have to cut off the gaps, and they are very big here in Kansas City.
The 1-0 delivery. 1 ball, 1 strike. And again, the gaps were much bigger when this ballpark was 385 to the alleys and 410 to center field.
Except that the ball got there quicker because it was the artificial surface.
Well, it could shoot the gap a lot easier. You're right. 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 out.
Conine not blessed with great speed. Just 1 stolen base this year and 1 attempt.
You're thinking about going the distance with this. The wind blowing hard to left field. 1-1 delivery. Oh, and he looks at a strike call. He was fooled on that pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Good breaking ball by Rod Beck as it snaps over the inside corner.
There's the story. 3-3. 1-2 the count. 2 out. Runner on first. And the pitch. Ooh, he just missed with that one. Rod wanted that pitch. 2-2.
Jim Riggleman can't believe it. It's been generous, but not on the inside corner tonight. The generosity has come on the outside corner, and that one is clearly inside.
2-2 the count with 2 out. Chopped it foul, just barely staying alive at the plate is Mike Sweeney. Jeff Conine back to first.
We talk about the speed of Conine, not for the stolen base, but anything in the gap. He's not an automatic run from first base on a double.
Two and two again. Back to toss over to first. Houston beat Cleveland 9-5 this afternoon. Milwaukee down the White Sox 10-5 tonight. St. Louis has beaten Minnesota 7-2. The Cubs hope to keep pace in the Central as the race tightens. The 2-2 pitch. Back up the middle. That's a base hit center field. Sweeney holds up at second. Off with it is Terrell Lowry in center field. Runners at first and second with 2 men down. Make that Conine at second. Sweeney aboard at first.
Right back up the middle. Rod Beck tries a kick save, but to no avail. And you see Conine without the good speed. Normally he would be standing at third base, but he stays at second, and now Jim Riggleman comes out to talk with him on how to work Johnny Damon, who has been victimized by the off-speed pitches all night tonight.
Jim meeting with the entire infield contingent. Damon, a single in 5 trips to the plate tonight. A 7th inning single. That coming against Kevin Tapani. Tapani went 6 2/3, gave up 2 runs on 7 hits. He struck out 8, walked 1, hit a batter, and yielded a home run. Terry Mulholland worked 1/3 of an inning coming into the 7th and retiring Hal Morris to end the Royals inning. Bob Patterson went 2/3 of an inning and struck out 1, gave up a base hit. Rod Beck pitched 2/3 of an inning, and plus his work here in this, the 10th.
And the biggest pitch by Bob Patterson, retiring Johnny Damon with the bases loaded in the 8th inning on a harmless ground ball to Morandini.
Here's the pitch to Damon. Swung on and hit foul on the first base side. The game-winning run is at second base for the Royals, who bat in the bottom of the 10th inning of a 3-3 ball game. Mike Sweeney is rather inconsequential in terms of scoring at first base. The only man that counts is out at second base. The strike 1 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike.
They're playing Damon as a pull hitter against Rod Beck.
The 1-1. Checked his swing. They appeal, and it goes in favor of the Royals hitter, Johnny Damon. No swing. It's 2-1. Frank White, the first base coach, a Royals Hall of Famer. 2 out, 2 on. Bottom of the 10th. 2-1 pitch. Loop down the left field line. If it's fair, the ball game is over. It's fair. Coming around to score is Jeff Conine, and the Royals have defeated the Cubs by the score of 4-3 in 10 innings. Oh my. The losing streak to 7 games. Meanwhile, the Royals have won 3 in a row at home. They have won 12 of their last 16 games and have taken the first 2 games of this 3-game series. In the bottom of the 10th inning, off of Rod Beck, the Royals plate the game-winning run as Conine comes across to score on a 2-out single by Johnny Damon. And here is the Budweiser player of the game on a 2-1 pitch. Damon waits on that low delivery from Beck, dumps it down the left field line. Jose Hernandez can't get there in time. Jeff Conine scores from second, and the Royals win it in 10 innings by the score of 4-3. Our next telecast on WGN TV will be Wednesday afternoon when the Cubs take on the Arizona Diamondbacks at Wrigley Field. Join us for the leadoff man at 1 p.m. Now, on behalf of our entire Cubs telecast crew, Wayne Larrivee with Steve Stone, so long from Kansas City, where the Royals have defeated the Cubs 4-3.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN.